real quick, you guys did get the revised agenda, right? You have all 5 items on there?
Yeah, it was handed out.
And Rob's going to do most of this, but before he gets going, as the board, the committee may recall, we gave a kind of an overview of the development update. And the intention is to do this maybe about once a quarter, although the way development moves, sometimes there's nothing new to really to talk about in a quarter, but at least maybe, so depending on what's going on, I think we're going to try and keep this as a quarterly update. But then there'll be certain quarters we'll discuss with the general manager whether it's worth actually providing any information. But definitely, at least semi-annually to annually, there'll be an update on this subject in particular, and done by the senior engineer. So.
All right.
Yeah, so we took a crack at this late last year. So there's been a couple updates here on this map, and then the spreadsheet that you have here. That's the exact same spreadsheet that's implanted on this big map here.
All right.
And if you want some 11 by 17s, I've got some of those as well.
Souvenirs.
That's a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
Of course, they
Yeah.
would take all the documentation.
Yeah, yeah. So you can have something in front of you.
Yeah, it's the same as this.
You want this one, Mr. Hubbard?
Sure.
Would that help?
Sure.
Perfect. So we've got. Yeah. I gotta use the biggest one here.
Older, I guess.
So in construction, we've got 7 projects or project groups, because university district, that's a group of projects. If you total them up, they're proposing 745 water EDUs and 895 wastewater EDUs. And so what you've got here on the spreadsheet is 4 columns that show water and sewer proposed capacity total for the project, and then you'll have 2 more columns showing what they've actually paid of that to date. So you see a lot of these projects, they're starting to pay their water and wastewater EDUs now. Because out of the 745 water EDUs, there's actually 372 that are paid. So almost, actually it is right around 50%. And on the sewer side, you got 400 of the 895 sewer EDUs paid. So we're definitely seeing some action on that.
But you don't have those numbers on this document.
I don't have them actually on this document here.
All right.
So the first set of projects, university districts, just south of the 78. So we've got 3 little projects going on in there, the Block F, Block K, and Block 3. And you see most of it's multifamily, but Block 3 is mixed use, composes of retail, office space, and student housing. And then the next project, you're going to have to go over all the way to the west of Vista Palomar. That's the old Executive Bridge development there, off the boulevard, exactly. So that one's making a lot of progress. The hotel is actually being built there, and it's all paid for as far as water and sewer. And then the multifamily portion will come next. Corner of Two Oaks, that's up there in the corner of Twin Oaks Valley and San Marcos Boulevard. So their hotel is moving along here. They've paid just about everything.
Let me interrupt you. There's a 3 here and 3 here. Is this 3?
Those match.
Yep.
Okay. And 2 is, that one's over here then?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
So all these construction projects here, they'll be shaded that green color.
Yeah.
And then you'll go down to San Alejo for number 4. That's just a small commercial and multifamily developments.
Town center.
Yeah, right in the town center.
Yeah.
And then number 5, the Rancho Coronado development here, right by the lake. They're moving along here. They've actually got just about everything paid for, just a few more units to go. And then they'll be done with that. And then you'll see later on, we'll move to their what they call their EMU site.
I got a question on that. This, on Crater, I guess you had to upsize that sewer.
Right.
Was it because of this development?
Yes.
Yes.
And so why did that happen? This wasn't planned for or something originally?
Well, it's now it is, but original before the city's general plan adoption, It's a lot more units. So
Okay.
the sewer that was in there couldn't handle the flows with the ultimate flows plus those guys.
That project to upsize this, that's been a long time. I mean, there's been a lot of disruption there.
Yeah, but the history goes even further.
Oh, yeah.
Because Rob and his staff tried to convince the developer to do a dig and lay project, which is there's an existing sewer in the street that's on the, help me out, south side of Craven?
It's on the north side.
North side, sorry,
Yeah.
north side of Craven. And we suggested that they go in the existing trench, just upsize the sewer, and just do a bypass pump and reconnect every day.
So they went on the other side with a
And
parallel.
their engineer and the developer said it would be more expensive, and we're not going to do it because it's more expensive. We even warned them that they could hit rock, and they said no, we'll be fine. They hit blue granite,
Yeah.
and they were putting in 10
10
feet a day.
Yeah, it's been slow. I mean,
And-
slow going. It's been months and months.
Yeah, it's a $500,000 contract to put that in. They already have almost $400,000 in change orders because of rock and
But they
everything else.
wish they'd taken your advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay for the bypass pumping.
Yeah, which would have costed probably $150,000 for bypass pumping, or maybe a little bit more, but either way, it would have been a several $100,000 savings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how much that costs, but time does cost money.
Mm.
So
Okay, thanks.
Well, that's become an issue with the releases on the units in there because they're promising people and selling units, but they're supposed to have the sewer in first, so they're constantly negotiating on how many
yeah,
units they
and
can
we've
get occupancy.
we forced their hand because what ended up happening is they started the sewer project late because they concentrated their staff to build houses, thinking the sewer would go in 45 days, 45 working days. So they delayed bidding that out, and then when they hit rock,
Yeah.
they still had units that they're trying to finish. So they put all their resources into trying to finish units, and meanwhile their contractor was moving 10 feet per day. So they put themselves behind the 8 ball on this one. So
Yeah.
we've been working with them the best we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then number 6 here is the High Point development, which is, I think that's been there for a couple days or so, or a couple
Yeah.
decades.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over 10 years. This is gonna stay green for a long time.
Yeah, it's one of those projects that got about 97, 98% done, and then fell through when the economy did.
Why do we call that in construction then? What?
Because it's technically,
It's
Past design.
technically still in construction.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the construction will have to start over now, but technically they were almost at the point of doing punch list items. The infrastructure was in the ground. The pump station was doing startup work,
Yeah.
and now we have pipes and a pump station that hasn't really been operated and run in over 10 years.
Are those charged up, the lines? And
So we were okay. So it went into bankruptcy. It went to conservancy, and the bank took ownership of it. And we had a kind of an agreement with the bank that we would run the pump station monthly to keep it from mothball it and run it monthly to keep it from just seizing up, and flush the lines. And then during the recession, in the drought, we stopped flushing the lines during the drought because we didn't want to waste the water. And then they stopped paying the bills for us. As a matter of fact, I think they still owe us. So then we sent them a letter right about when Glenn first started. We sent them a letter that said, we're going to stop doing everything. You need to do a full pipeline assessment. You're going to have to rebuild this whole system most likely.
Well,
And they never even got back to us. And we sent the second letter that says, hey, did you get our letter?
Yeah.
And they never got back to us again. So now you have,
it's going to be expensive.
well, you have probably $1.5 million.
You got millions of dollars of maroon facilities there.
Yeah, and it's not ours technically. We never accepted it.
and I think I remember this on the tour. This is one that overlooks to the west Twin Oaks Valley.
No, it really
toward the
looks.
south.
Yeah, it's south and east. It's on Emerald Heights.
Yeah,
past
it's above
Pacific.
Emerald Heights.
Yeah, it's on the backside.
Yeah, okay,
I mean, yeah, you could. There's some view outs that go that way.
yeah,
too, but
because
most
I
of it-
remember I used to live on that slope
Yeah.
on the east side of Twin Oaks Valley, and we'd hike up there and see all the trails and all that, and then they started developing it,
Yeah.
turning it into potentially homes, and then
They actually sold 2 homes.
is there anything else built up there?
No, the homes never got built. They actually
Oh,
sold
they
2
sold
homes.
2, just
Yeah.
waiting for it.
Yeah,
Jeez.
they went into escrow, closed escrow, because they were semi-custom lots. So.
Yeah. Oh,
We
boy.
actually got a notice of violation from the APCD on this one because the owner stopped paying their electrical bill, so it went off and the emergency generator kicked on, and we didn't have an active permit for the generator.
Oh,
So
Yep.
And since it was
running
on
a
our
permit,
property, we
running
had
a
the
generator
violation.
without a active permit, we got hit with.
Yep.
So,
hmm.
Because it's on our property, but we don't own the facility.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good, one of the smart moves that we did was not take ownership of the facility. Cause
Sure.
It,
Then you'd
it would have been our abandoned asset for going on 12 years now?
Yep.
2008, right?
Mhm.
2008? So 10 years.
Yeah,
Or no, it was 10 years.
it's been 10 years since they dropped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, you would think somebody
Some,
pick it up.
some bank owns it.
They're still trying to get a buyer for the project. I mean, they've worked on a few of them. That one fell through, and then
The two fell through.
the case second fell through.
The Youngs were actually this close to buying it before the whole Diamond Environmental thing, Kevin.
Oh.
That happened. They fell. They
It's going to be a
backed out.
disposal site for them. They just dump all their, what the heck? Yeah.
Nobody's
Yeah.
up there.
Hilltop Communities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Those
Hilltop
are
community.
beautiful lots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my.
It's nice.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh well. Somebody will do something.
So unfortunately, you're gonna just see this in this format for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
until someone actually purchases it, or they just drop off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 7 there is this Borden 22 development here, which is a small little 4-acre little development off Borden Road, and they're wrapping up there. They've got everything paid for, and so those are the projects that we have in construction for development at the moment. We've got a couple more in plan check. Meadowlark Canyon. These guys here, I believe, are shown in red. So Meadowlark Canyon, you're going just south of the Vista Palomar development there, that number 8.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually been around a while, where they're proposing 33 dwelling units on it, and they've had just about everything paid for quite a long time, actually. But we haven't heard from them for probably about 6 to 8 months now.
Yeah. And that one is unique because it's in a hole, so it actually has a pump station, a sewer lift station. But the sewer lift station is going to be owned and operated by us, correct? But it will be
Paid for.
paid for
Yep.
100% by those 30-something homes.
Mm.
So about, a year ago, I sat down and tried to work out what the average
Mm-hmm.
annual cost between chemicals and maintenance would be for our lift stations, and I tried to say here's what it is for our other lift stations, and then there's going to be some savings because this is smaller, but some of these savings where you got a guy that goes out there every day,
Yeah.
that's there's no savings because of size on that, and they were pretty scared about the HOA fees on that point, but that was over a
Is
year
it
ago.
lot where the nursery was?
No, it's
Nurseries
actually
over
west of
here.
that.
Yeah, just west of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's further down.
Yep.
And this is what road is this?
Palomar Airport Road.
Yeah, so it's San Marcos
San Marcos
Boulevard.
Oh yeah, San Marcos Boulevard,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's towards the end of our district.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
west of Rancho Santa Fe.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that one. Where was the nursery?
It's right here.
Okay, so it's further down than that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I
it's over.
drive that all the time, and I don't even remember seeing anything over there.
Well, it's just
It's right here.
it's
Yeah.
been cleared out. Yeah, it's right there. It is right there.
Yeah.
Kind of at the
Uh-huh.
bottom of the
Yeah,
hill
just
there.
out there in that
Oh, yeah,
little hole, like
okay.
James said.
Yeah, they've got it. They actually, if you go out there now, they cleared it
Well,
out. Or it
It's
may
actually it's the other side, Jason.
Oh, it's
It's
right here?
right there. Yeah.
Oh, yes,
oh,
that's
it's
it.
this? Oh,
Yeah,
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 because you
this
see the
is-
graded
this
pad
is
just
the
north of
Laurels.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is your.
That's the other one.
That's the Vista Palomar
So it's
right
that
there.
whole section right there, just
Mhm.
just west of the Laurels development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or actually north and west of the Laurels development.
Yeah.
That other road is White Sand.
That's where the nursery was, and it's got the big ditch.
No, the nursery is.
Up a little
further
further,
right
right,
there.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's the next section down.
And to the left there, is that the Business Parkway?
Yep.
Yep.
Where the
It's White Sands on the south side business park.
Yeah, right
when you
there.
drive
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
It's right
okay,
at the
all right.
bottom of the.
So it's up the hill a bit there.
TFW is doing that work right here. I think. Creating this.
That's
And all the good breweries are just north of there. I think this
Like
one is
4 or 5 of them right in there.
Ton of-
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Target.
Oh yeah.
Not a brewery guy, so
Well, if you go to Iron Fist, they get sours. If you
Well,
want
you-
sour-
there's the whiskey distillery.
there. Well, there you go. Then we go there.
Yeah, Henneberry's is good.
I haven't tried that one yet.
Oh, we digress.
Yes, we got a lot on the agenda, so. we
Yeah,
have to
I think I'll stay a while.
Okay, number 9, that's up in our northwestern part of our district, the Palisades Estates development here.
Oh yeah.
Lots of land out there, very few homes. There'll be country style lots here, and there's going to be a lot of open space part of this project here.
Mr. Eastwood?
That is Mr. Eastwood's.
Mr. Eastwood.
Yes.
So what we expect to happen this one, we don't know for a fact, is Mr. Eastwood, the owner of the lot, is going to build his dream home, and he's going to sell off the rest of the lot to a developer. So what we expect it to get to a point of full entitlement, and then they'll sit and do nothing for a while, and then move forward.
Yeah,
most likely.
this will be on the list for a while
Yeah.
until it
And that's
really
all gonna be
gets going.
septic?
Yes.
That's all septic.
It's all septic.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Number 10, Rancho Coronado. Okay, this is the EMU site here. So, yep, there you go, just south of the Rancho Coronado. We're going through plan check on that right now. That's about another 220 multifamily units. And then number 11 here, Fitzpatrick Apartments. So this is part of the overall Richmar specific plan area. This is development most east, of that entire set. They're just wrapping up plan check right now, and they're going to have 3 single-family units and 78 multifamily units part of that. And then I also included all the stuff there that we have in planning here. So this is everything that's pretty much in the pipeline here. They haven't got to the point yet where they've started plan check yet. You see some of it's in what we call the Creek District in San Marcos, some's part of the Richmar, and then there's a bunch of just smaller and some larger divisions in here. And at the very bottom of that list, as I'll always have it at the bottom of the list here, is Newland Sierra. And that's the big boy.
One of the things to point out is when you look at the Creek District, as those individual lots come up, more and more will go in there. That's why the Creek District and University District, or the Creek District and the University District area is kind of an open circle, open areas, because the lots are kind of developing individually.
Right.
Although the developer told us the west side of Twin Oaks Valley is maybe going to be all Lennar, so then that'll be more of a standard type of development. So whether that's finalized or not, we don't know, and the city hasn't approved it yet.
So in the planning, we're talking about 4,500 water EDUs that are potentially out there, and about 4,300 sewer EDUs out there. So there's a lot of potential, and this is just what we know is out there right now. In the Creek District, in University District, we could still be seeing a lot more.
Sure.
And I wasn't gonna go through this unless you wanted me to, or if you got any specific questions, I can definitely field those.
Rob, just real quick, this is the Fenton project?
Yeah.
That's
the
the one
Fenton
that
project.
extends Discovery?
Yeah, that's the one here in. There's been arguments. Is it really part of the University District? Is it not? But yeah, that's the one here. That's just to the west of the Kaiser building.
It links the two districts.
Links the two.
Yeah.
It's a bridge.
Links.
I prefer it as the one that doesn't have to build the bridge across Grand.
Yeah.
But they're proposing 250 multifamily units on that piece of land there.
All right.
Okay.
Is that level of detail helpful?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I'd like to
Now we're going to present this at the board.
No.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys have a map, or can you prepare a map that shows, I'm particularly interested in my division over in this area, that shows Vallecitos and Vista VOD?
Yeah, we already have that. Matter of fact, our normal maps, which we don't have any here, shows areas that what we call the boot and bender, basically where the flume goes through.
Yeah.
And the annexation area is basically where it shows
All those pockets of
Pockets.
VID.
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, we
Because
have-
that's
we have-
very confusing to me.
Yeah, you know what we can do is we can show you a blow up of that area. I don't,
The water
yeah, no,
map or?
it'd be in the water map, yeah.
Yeah, keep talking, James.
So
while
what we
Jason's-
can do is we can show you a blow up and maybe print out a blow up of that area for you.
That'd be helpful for me, yeah.
But it is right there. I don't know if you're gonna have to turn on certain.
No, it's over to the right
You're
there,
getting it.
right-
You're getting it.
I guess I'm not sure. What area are we talking about?
Go to the right of where your cursor's at.
James is gonna drive.
Yeah, kind of over
Right in there.
Rock Springs,
Okay.
Lordo, all that area. in there.
See the kind of the highlight area. So these are sewer only areas, but or are these the IDs? I don't know which layers are on.
That's the water atlas.
That's a water atlas. So that's probably the areas then.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
those I believe are the
Yeah,
areas.
you're right. Those-
I think
this is
that's-
water
I
atlas.
I think
recognize
that's
the
what you're referring
pockets.
to.
Alright, I'm just gonna pull up the.
So I mean, there's areas where they
Yeah.
serve water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What are you looking for?
no, this is
We've
actually
had-
good.
Oh, okay.
Conversations with VID about taking those over.
Yeah, that was my next question. It
This-
kind of makes sense to me to
Yeah.
talk about maybe.
Yeah, they're not gonna like the number we're coming up
Yeah.
with.
So
Yeah.
so it kind of there's areas. So
It's
what?
usually what holds it up.
So LAFCO has always said, and it's in our master plan, that we'll take those areas over time,
Okay.
and it's in VID's master plan that we'll take those areas over time. And what we've done historically is just waited for a lot to develop or a need,
Right.
and then we've taken those. But what ends up happening a lot of times is sometimes existing customers, especially as you get further this way, you get some larger customers that are ag customers that they really don't want to annex and do all that. So then we have to get all these exchange meters between the two agencies. The problem for VID is it's way out in their system. They want to pressurize their flume someday, and having all these different dead end systems coming off their flume is not only good for water quality, but it's bad for what they can do with their flume, because they want to be able to pressurize the flume and get more water out of it. What's bad for us is, why should we take this system? It's some of
Aging
those
system.
some of those, I mean, not all of it's old, not all of it's bad. A lot of it's good AC pipe, which AC is great stuff, as you know. But a lot of it's old steel, and you got to remember, VID has been around a lot longer than us.
Yeah.
It's
Probably twice as
1920s,
long.
yeah. So they have pipeline in the ground, not necessarily here, but their flume system is one of their older systems, and they have pipeline in the ground, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and then they get some newer stuff that they replaced in the 80s and 90s. So we're looking at that, but VID is interested in us looking at it globally,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I was curious about that.
So we've been looking at some small areas and coming up with some estimates of annexation fees, pipeline replacement costs.
They would have to
costs.
pay to us.
They would have to pay to us.
yeah. So this is the area we're looking at. These lots kind of right in here, right, Rob?
Yeah, it's right off the El Norte Parkway
Yeah.
corridor.
This is
Mhm.
right here. So these areas, these
Yeah,
sectors.
they're kind of
maybe
doing like
this
a little
one's
little pilot project right now. A few of these areas.
Yeah.
What it would take to transfer those over.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
they don't have a de-annexation fee, but we have an annexation fee. They have infrastructure in the ground. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. What's the risk? I mean, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thanks.
And obviously, anything we do would have to go in front of the board. It would
Mhm.
have to
Yeah,
go to this
right,
committee
right.
First. So.
but I guess the question is, would you like us to provide a map that it's basically this map? And we
Yeah,
could- we could-
that'd be helpful for me.
we could do it in this format, basically a black and white, or I mean, it's still got color, or we could do it with the ortho, where you actually see the ortho on
I
it.
don't need that.
Yeah, the ortho sometimes makes it more confusing
Yeah.
anyway.
But you don't want the development down there, just a base map
Yeah,
with the
no,
with
this
the
map up here.
areas.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's this map.
Right.
Okay. Okay, or
And-
just have one of the GIS guys produce that. Do
Yeah,
you want,
make 5 copies. Get one. We'll get one each.
well, I was
as a-
just, do you want just a PDF, or do you want a paper copy? We can do both. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, paper copy.
yeah, make
Okay.
5. Make 5 copies.
Okay.
We'll get them to all the directors.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, and then last but not least, do you want your division area highlighted in that, or
Yeah,
does it not
that'd be
matter?
helpful.
Yeah, put the
Yeah.
division boundary. That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we can't have our picture on the newsletter, we might as well get something and
You gotta get
be able to
something.
know where we're supposed to go.
Yeah. See, that new attorney's earning his money.
They're already.
Yeah.
Causing grief.
Changing
I
things.
think he's grief
Can you take this one away then?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Item 2.
Item number 2.
Item number 2.
Thank you, sir.
Go to the
All
map,
right.
or-
Yeah, so CIP quarterly update. So as to the board, annually we provide a CIP annual update.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention here is to give the Engineering Equipment Committee a quarterly update of the CIP. Again, there's to be some quarters where we don't have a lot of action, but we're actually entering a period we'll have more frequent construction projects, which means there probably will be a need for quarterly updates on issues, especially the larger construction, change orders, what we've run into. Obviously, anything that's here that the committee gives direction to would go to the board, and also we could also come to the committee because, knock on wood, we haven't had the situation in a while. But if we end up coming up against our ordinance limitations on change orders,
Yes.
then we have to bring it to the board and committee anyway.
Mhm.
So we take this opportunity to kind of talk about it. So basically, quarterly, we intend on bringing this forward, and our senior engineer, Jason, will be doing those reports just like he does to the board for annual.
And the only, other than the quarterly review, the monies are already there in our budget, and we'll expend that money as we need to for the project, unless there's a change order that is larger than our ordinance
Yeah.
allows.
Yeah, and just it's a sliding scale. So basically, it's 10% for jobs that are under $1 million.
Mhm.
If it's over $1 million to $5 million, it's like 7.5%.
Yep.
Over 5 to 10 million, it's 5%, and above 10 million, it's set by the board.
Okay.
Okay. So in other words, if we bring you a project that's above 10 million, you'll see an additional request of some percentage to be set by the board.
Okay.
And us as engineers will ask for a 10%.
Yeah, of course.
So.
And Hal will turn you down in a heartbeat.
So-
It's one vote.
Exactly.
But no, but so those are kind of the limitations, and
Yeah.
then if we run to budgetary numbers, that's the other reason we bring it back.
And when will the quarterly update to the board be?
It's only annual.
It's annual.
Annual.
And
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
at
So we're gonna have to worry.
fiscal year end is July. Usually it takes us a little while to get the numbers, so it's usually the first or second meeting in August. Usually the second
Yeah.
meeting in August is when we do the annual.
Mm-hmm.
And the quarterlies, depending on how these quarterly meetings are set with the engineering committee, will give you the most up-to-date information at the time. So
Yeah.
it may not be exactly in the quarter because sometimes schedules conflict.
Okay,
Joy?
so like District Engineer Gumpel said, we do this annually. I'm gonna just do it all digitally. I don't have these pretty maps like
Save
Ron
in
has,
paper,
but
yeah.
so this is all on our website, so it's available to the public, and I'm just gonna go through it and show
And
you
this
what
is
we got.
updated quarterly on our website.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah, but I just saw a picture. Can we have to take that off?
No, it's only if it's mailed, a physical thing mailed to
Oh.
more than 200 addresses. We can,
Well, can we mail out 199 at a time?
yeah,
Or is that circumventing the
yeah, I think
process?
that's circumventing the
Oh.
process. It's gonna get us in trouble.
Joe.
So we have this map that lists our CIP projects.
Uh-huh.
The reports here are for the second quarter. So the third quarter just ended. I need a few weeks to update them. So this kind of caught me a little off guard. But in a couple weeks, these will be all updated. So as you know, engineering works on a number of projects from ops level small projects, but these are CIP projects. So these are all approved in the budget. And I'll just go through them real quick, and then I'll focus on just a few of them. So we've got our north and south PRS station. These are up here in the northern part of our district. That's an old station. These are the old stations that are getting replaced. This project is in construction, so you've already awarded the construction contract. We're about 50% through it.
Yep. And also, just so these were the last stations that didn't have SCADA controls. So
Ah.
we had to go up there to make any adjustments all the time. And as you can see, it's 40 minutes to get up there and 40 minutes to
Yeah,
get back.
that's pretty remote.
Nice trip.
Yep. Our next project is our LS1 wet well room repair. That project was completed in October, so the board accepted that project, and that was where the wet well room was getting corroded. We needed to do some repairs.
And what are we? And that wet well is doing what?
That's the wet well room where all, basically,
Holding raw sewer.
yeah, most of the,
Holds raw sewer. At a big lift station, it goes into a wet well, which holds the raw sewer, and then the dry well is on the other side, which holds the pumping equipment.
And that's where we divert flows down to Meadowlark.
Yep.
right, yep. This nursery valve relocation project that was over here off Rancho Santa Fe Road, and we had some control valves for sewer flow. That's where that sewer coming out of the lift station goes down to the plant. We had some control valves there, they were non-functioning. This was just a replacement project for that. That project is completed, was just completed about a month ago. So the board
We had some of
accepted-
those valves were right in the middle of Rancho Santa Fe Road. There's a big traffic control problem, so we're getting all those valves
Yeah.
operable and out of the roadway.
Perfect.
Rock Springs Sewer, let's see, over here off of Rock Springs Road. So that project is actually been designed, and we're poised to actually put that out to bid this month. So that project has been in the works for a number of years. There was a lot of mitigation, environmental issues with that. So we're basically realigning an old aging sewer from
Replacing.
12-inch, replacing it, and then moving it to a different location and upsizing it for ultimate flows. And that project will go out to bid this month.
And that's also a pipe that we know that we have a fairly high infiltration because it's at the bottom, it's always wet. So we're kind of bringing it up where we can to get it out and reduce the INI.
Jason, you said we're realigning, not relining.
Realigning, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Moving it,
realigning.
moving it to
So,
portions of it are dig and lay, like the one on Craven should have been, and then portions of it we're moving it into a completely different location, which means we had to acquire new easements, and easement acquisition always takes quite a while, so that went through that whole process. as
Did we
well.
give up easements
Yes.
back to the owners? And did we?
Different owners.
Different owners.
Yeah. Basically, our line was going through, literally going through people's backyards.
Uh-uh.
So we moved it out of their backyards.
So we gave up the easement, but we didn't make any money on it.
Well, technically, we haven't given up the
Not yet.
easement
Not
there.
yet.
We still own it. What we're doing in this case is the pipeline Jason's talking about that's going in between 2 yards, for
Ah.
instance. We're actually converting that into their private sewer lateral. So it's still going to be there.
Oh.
It'll just serve them, and it'll go down to the pipeline's new location.
Yeah, I think the lines behind like Ayala, the Ayala property and those ones, I think we're gonna quitclaim those all after the project is completed. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's some pipelines here that actually go, this is further west. The main goes through the backyards, and we got manholes in the backyards here, and obviously we're moving that further south, which is good because it gets it out of the backyards. We got to extend their sewer laterals underneath the little creek crossing there.
I have a sewer main through my backyard.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Quite deep, as a matter of fact.
Lucky, lucky you.
Very did.
Yeah, so here's kind of where that
Yeah.
line is.
And you can see, you want to turn on the ortho on that, Jason?
Yeah, so we're basically replacing the line from, let's see, so this is Rock Springs Road and Bennett. Right from that intersection, that's going to be a dig and lay, replace in the same trench,
See how it goes across people's yards right there?
and then we follow it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going down the road.
We'll bring this down.
So the new line will come down Matthews
Or
and will come through this greenbelt area. If you can kind of see a sort of a park area that runs in between
Mm-hmm.
the backyards of these homes. Like Rob said, a lot of these sections like here will be saved. This will all be, will stay in place. And then moving down past Woods, the line comes back into Rock Springs because there's a high point in Rock Springs, so that's why we're not just taking it all the way down. But this line will stay in place. This line will all get abandoned, and we'll have a new line through here. And you can see it's literally in people's backyards.
So just abandoned in place, slurry filled.
Slurry filled, yeah. Yep. Okay. Next project is the Montiel Gravity Outfall. So way over in the east part of the district, we have a lift station there that serves sort of east of Nordall, north of the 78. This sewer shed here, and we're working with in the planning stages of determining how we can get an outfall under the freeway and into Escondido's portion instead of having the lift station pumping that. So we're still in the planning phases, we're still collecting data, and then from that document, that planning document, we'll engage Escondido and look about sharing costs and getting our sewer into their system.
The goal is if we get rid of that lift station, it gets rid of 3 projects because we need basically a new lift station because that was a temporary lift station. that was put in 25 years
Yes.
ago. It was temporary, so it's
Yeah.
basically just a
Mhm.
manhole in the ground. And then the force main, the lining of the force main is delaminating. And then the sewer pipe that goes to Nordal Shopping Center, which has got the with the Walmart, right? Walmart and
Mhm.
Kohl's and all that stuff needs to be upsized. So those are 3 projects. So if you could do this project, we eliminate 3 projects. And even if the projects cost the same, we eliminate the pump station, the ongoing maintenance and cost. So that's what that's the goal. We'll see if we can get there. Right now we're just doing a planning study to see if we can get there.
Yeah, so that lift station's here, and we have a force main that runs up across Nordal, and then, like James says, it goes through a gravity sewer, a very deep gravity sewer through the shopping center. Guitar Center's over there, the Costco's there.
When you say you have to upgrade that, that may have to upgrade
Keep
that
it
line?
right there. This from right here to right here, we actually upgraded that already.
Yeah, right, I remember
Yeah,
that.
back in the day, but we'd have to upgrade the rest of this.
But didn't we just do some big sewer work over there at
Oh.
Costco?
No, the Costco built Costco, and then they gave us this access road. But this, you got to remember, when Costco built, they put 15 feet of fill. So that's the deepest manhole I think we have in the district. At like, I don't even remember how much. 35 feet.
Yeah, it's deep.
It's
It's over 25. I
Where,
think.
Okay,
where's the gentleman's property that came into the board meeting the other day? That's
off
out-
in Nordal.
Oh,
Of El
Mr.
Norte.
Is that Mr.
Yeah.
D'Annunzio?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rob, you want
D'Annunzio.
to drive on that one?
It's El Norte Parkway and Nordal.
Yeah, Nordal.
Okay.
Yep. North and a little bit.
Oh, I was thinking he was out on too.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this off here real quick.
Turn off the. That was the other side, right?
Yeah, sorry, I was at
Little grid thing.
the four square.
4 square. This one.
Yeah, that turns. Nope, next one.
I really should put my glasses on.
There you go.
Okay, let's see here. Bennett. Rock Springs.
Keep on going.
Keep going. No, I don't want
Now
that.
you're
Thank you
getting
very
It's
much.
just clicking. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have to drive.
Yeah, I know.
Drinking?
That's what happens when you don't have your glasses
Well, you know,
on,
he
right?
did his item. He was done.
Get the hell out of here, go do something productive.
Okay, so let's see here. Woodland, El Norte Parkway. So I'm gonna follow the sewer to
Okay,
the
keep going-
east
keep
because
going
it'll go
east
to
to
the end of
Nordal.
it.
Yeah, you're
Mhm.
almost there.
Bennett.
There we go. Okay, so his property is actually going to be right about here. And let me turn that back on.
There you go. It's in further down,
I think it's further west,
Yeah,
or
it's-
east, I mean.
further east to Nordal. It's the next little piece, I thought. Oh no, our sewer's done then?
Yeah, that's.
No, there it is.
No,
Yeah,
keep going.
there it is. Yeah, there it is
Okay.
right there.
Right, it's right, no, to the right. A little more to the right. The other right. Right there, that
Right there.
triangular one.
That triangle piece, yeah.
There we
That's
go.
it, right, that's his property right there.
That's gonna
Yeah,
allow
we don't
us
get too
something.
much more detail at this
So
point
it's by
here.
it's by the school. At the elementary school.
Can you zoom out just a little bit, Rob?
Yeah.
That's, okay, yeah, that's where I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he's got fall to get to that sewer.
He's trying to get to that last manhole.
He doesn't even, yeah, or just a wide lateral, but he gets to the sewer no problem. His plumber's telling him he can't. His plumber's telling him it's cheaper, and so he's spent the last 2 months trying to convince us that he couldn't do it. Finally, his own engineer said he could do it. And then I wasn't in the meeting though, so I don't have the latest information.
Yeah, now he's just saying it's too expensive, I think is the, now we've
Yeah.
proven it's technically feasible, and his contractor's telling him that he doesn't wanna work in the street because it's a busy street on El Norte Parkway, and traffic control is gonna make it, in his estimate, a $50,000 project, which we don't pay.
Has he got 3 or 4 quotes yet, or?
No.
And-
He's still pushing for an
He needs
injector.
3 or 4.
Yeah,
He needs to
he's
get a
still
few
pushing
more
for it.
quotes.
Rob
He
and I
needs to
met
talk
with him
to a couple
on
contractors.
Friday,
Yes, Friday.
and he was supposed to come in yesterday and bring you something.
So he came in yesterday and he brought me the copies of the permits that he got from the county. Didn't bring me the plan that he gave to the county.
Which is what he said he was gonna
He
bring
says
in.
he lost it, and he says he's got to order a new copy of it. So I don't know what he presented to the county in order to get those county permits. Now the county permits are just for the electrical and the mechanical. They're not actually for the pump yet. But I still don't know why the county's handing out those permits unless they had no idea that we're not allowing this pump.
Well, but you gotta understand, when their architect first did, or the plumber and the architect first did the measurement, they put a stick in the manhole, and from their sight line measured 11 feet, and they put a stick at the clean out and measured 9 feet, which means the sewer is 2 feet below the clean out. But then when he reported to us, we said, look, it's 11 feet up in the 11 feet compared to 9 feet, so it's 2 feet high. So it's 2 feet uphill. So he didn't realize, he didn't know what he was doing.
Up is down.
Yeah, exactly. And then from there, he was convinced it's 2 feet high, and it took a while he had to get an engineer on board to show him, because he just wouldn't believe us.
Yeah.
He has a legal argument here. His argument, I don't know that I agree with it. He's saying, hey, there used to be a house on here. There's an approved permitted lateral. The house has been rebuilt, and they built it lower, but he claims he still has rights to discharge sewer into the lateral, and by any means, in his opinion. So if it takes an ejector pump to get it into that lateral, I've already got a permitted lateral. I sent that over to Jim Gilpin. I haven't heard back from him yet to say what legal basis do they have, because we don't normally allow the ejector pumps. We say, no, you got to rebuild the lateral to sewer your new home. You say, no, I already have an approved lateral.
I mean, if you think about it, almost every project would be cheaper with an ejector pump.
Sure.
I mean, not every, but almost every project would be cheaper. Definitely every retrofit project would be cheaper for sure, because you never have to dig in the street.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's got a lateral already,
Yeah, but now they
but he
built the
can't
house.
get to that lateral.
Right, the lateral's sloping up and there's pads down here.
But can he continue on till he gets to the downhill?
So that's what we're telling him, rebuild the
Yeah.
lateral to tie into the main. He's got to tear out the old lateral and work in
Oh,
El
he's got to
Norte
go all the way to the
Parkway.
main.
He's got to go to the main.
But just to be clear, and Rob and I heard it at the meeting, and Rob listened to it in the tapes. His contractor said, we're willing to do the right thing, even if, even putting a larger lateral in and rolling the Y, but it just can't be done. That's actually not true. It can be done, because the engineer says you could put that 6-inch lateral in and roll the Y, or you could go about 10 feet further and just put in a regular lateral at a 2% slope. Instead of putting a 6-inch and rolling the Y.
What does rolling the Y mean?
So the Y comes off at a 45-degree
Yeah.
angle up here for a clean out.
Flat.
So you flatten it down.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 That's the problem with the existing lateral. It comes up off of 45 here, which makes it too high.
So
yeah, right.
So
So
you use the existing Y,
roll
roll
it, and
and
lower it,
then lower,
and then he can gravity feed to it.
and
And
then
unfortunately, the main is on the south side of El Norte, so he has to go all the way across the street
Yep.
to tie into the main with his new lateral.
but a utility contractor who's used to working in the street won't charge him $50,000 for that. So Jason used to be a utility contractor.
I might charge him that much.
He was talking.
You gotta make money.
His contractor Rob was talking about a job he did down on Miramar Road, saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's too hard to work on a busy street." I said, "Well, we don't have the traffic
I-
that Miramar Road."
I think that
has."
explains it right there.
Yeah, right.
He's
He
trying to
probably-
compare this to Miramar.
He had a bad experience, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to work on Miramar Road either.
Yeah, he's not used to doing
I
utility
put a
work in
recycled water
streets.
line in Miramar Road
Did you?
as a consultant, yeah. It's fun.
Hey. Well, we'll hear about that some more, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right, so back to our list. Last couple, the Interceptor Phase 2. You guys are, I'm sure, aware of that project. So that project, I'll just pull up a graphic since we've been doing that, yeah. So that's in the Creek District, and as you know, the district has been improving this Interceptor section by section. Where are we? Yeah, here we are.
There you are.
And the last little leg, potentially the last little leg, is right here. This is Pacific, so where's our...
They started via Verica.
LS1 is right here.
Yeah. Go back all the way to
Okay,
Via
so
Verica.
Pacific is right here, and we're looking at replacing our Interceptor right now. Goes down San Marcos Boulevard, comes down McMar, and across the creek. And we've replaced right up to,
That manhole west of Via Verica, you're right there.
yeah,
there.
right there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we're looking at from here to Pacific.
And you're replacing
And it's a 21 inch now, we're replacing it with a 42. Everything upstream is 42, comes down, and then at Via Veracruz goes to 21 down to the lift station.
And will we allow those people in that Creek District area to tap into the 42? That's high pressure?
No, first off, it's gonna be almost 20 feet deep.
Oh,
And they're gonna have their normal 8-inch sewer lines tying into manholes. What we did is we coordinated with the city's engineer to locate our manhole locations at the end of their future streets and their paseos. So this way they can bring sewers down and tie into those things.
so the manhole will be attached to the 42, and you're gonna have the,
8-inch line attached to the manhole.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they won't be attached up here. They're gonna we won't allow a chimney. They're gonna have to slope it all the way down. So they're gonna be digging down 20 feet at the end. And as you go further west in the Creek District, it's really just natural grade. So we're 8 to 12 feet deep at that point.
Mhm.
But as you go further up, closer to Via Veracruz, and it's going to be upwards of 20 feet deep.
Will we be stubbing out a lateral from the manhole when we construct it? That's all I'm
No,
gonna
we'll let
break
them
in.
core in and break it. I mean, we're not gonna allow we're not allowing precast manhole lids, so we'll just pour the bases, and so this way when we pour the bases, it makes it easier to core in. So
We just don't know where they're coming in at exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So that project is still in design, and right now we've had a lot of coordination with the city, and we've had to sort of stop work on it because there were some easement issues, and we're gonna have to go back to an original design. So we're kind of working with the city on who's gonna pay for that. So that's kind of where we're at in that job. Once we get that resolved, we'll get back on the design. The idea is to get that done by the end of this fiscal year and start construction next spring, next summer. So
And we have that budgeted already?
that's a budgeted item, yeah.
yeah.
And it's very large, but
That's I mean, the total budget's like 19 million for that whole thing, but we've built 2/3 of it.
yeah,
already.
because this is just we've been building it in phases.
Yeah.
Could you guys talk real quickly about the crossing of San Marcos Boulevard?
Sure.
Over here at Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's actually several factors. So we have a big culvert that goes underneath, and that's really our limiting factor that brings water from the I forgot what that creek is called or that tributary that comes down, but you can see the channel. And basically, we're gonna have to reduce the pipe down to 36-inch to get underneath that culvert, or else we'll be skimming the top of it. There's two ways to take a look at it for the culvert. So our original design has this kind of going down this end of the street and 45ing and attaching to this manhole here. And then our pipeline size is good. It's a 42-inch already, you see. But if we go up higher to this side of the street, which is crossing San Marcos Boulevard, and where's Tamarisk? Is that right here?
Yep.
Okay,
that's
so if we come over here, we're obviously doing more construction in San Marcos Boulevard, but the culvert's slope. It buys us a couple of tenths, okay? And so we're thinking about doing that and coming across here and working with the city, because we actually want the city to pay for that. And the reason we want the city to pay for that is the city wants to widen San Marcos Boulevard, and their right-of-way, zoom up on that for me a little bit.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, go ahead and put lift station 1 over here. Okay, so their right-of-way is about this wide all the way.
Mhm.
Is about this wide all the way, and then when you get to lift station 1, it goes this. So they need to buy right-of-way from Vallecitos Water to do it. But for them to buy right-of-way over Vallecitos, all this facility needs to be moved. If you move, and every single pipe that comes into lift station 1 is at minimum slope. And every single pipe that comes into lift station 1 is larger than the largest pipe size that requires minimum slope. So in other words, just making the pipe bigger, you don't get to change the slope. So you would have to chase this pipe all the way back, you'd have to chase this pipe all the way back, you'd have to take these pipes all the way down San Marcos Boulevard to do that. We're talking about millions of dollars worth of work. But if we move this pipe up to here, we gain 2/10. And the 2/10 is enough for the city to pay us to relay a 42-inch to here, that's 2/10 higher, which allows us to move all these facilities into the site without chasing anything up and down the roads. So it's a $500,000 to $1 million project to do that.
Yeah, that's all we're talking about. Or we could just build a new lift station with a deeper wet well,
Yeah.
which is equally as expensive. So it's really kind of it's kind of a system that it's all at minimum, or
That-
all at maximum, however you want to look at it.
That whole piece is ours, that rectangular piece where the sewer line goes up?
Yep.
Yeah, all, that
Yeah,
all-
all the way
Mhm.
back there.
Yeah.
So obviously, the board doesn't control the road and everything, but this is gonna be a big issue when we start constructing across San Marcos Boulevard.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Hey, but you know, one of the things that remember we're asking, what do we do in that area? The sooner or later, the city's going to need us. So you know, we wait.
Yeah, right now they're, you know, we're looking
Well,
at all this work here in the San Marcos Boulevard would be
One way
nightmare.
or another.
Yeah.
Would be
So
nightmare.
what would it take to build a new wet and dry well?
Oh my
Money?
gosh, it would be all new pump station.
Yeah, you're gonna total the station.
You're gonna have to
and
total that
redo it.
station to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and-
And it's probably
or
a 3 or
let's-
4 year project.
Yeah, it's a 3-4 year project, and it's a $3-4 million project. You know, because
But
it's
would
not a
that-
small
would
lift
that, I
station.
mean, would that be more economical than all the other work you're
No,
talking
the
about
work
doing?
that we're proposing is probably $1 million in the city's budget if they want it done that way. If we don't do it that way, they're probably talking about $1.8 million to move all the pipes. And if you want to build a new section, you're talking about over $3 million. So it's $1 million, 1.8, or $3 million. I mean, and those are just rough
Yeah,
numbers.
right.
And we still have to upsize this pipe anyways, because
Right.
we've got 42 coming in, and we're 21 and 42, so we still gotta.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that would be on us regardless. That
Yeah.
42,
Yeah,
21 to 42.
Yeah, except
Right.
for the
Portions of
portion, except for the delta of the portion, you know, digging in San Marcos Boulevard is more expensive than digging off the side of the curb in San
Right,
Marcos
right.
Boulevard. So,
I think the only reason you wanna rebuild that lift station is to improve the developability
yeah.
of that property. If you wanna put the lift station way in the back and make it really deep, then you can develop the rest of the lot, but.
Yep. And that and it can be done, but you're talking about you're talking about a very expensive because that lot slopes the wrong way for us. But you know,
Yeah.
you're chasing it. So,
Well,
actually,
you know,
slopes the
but
correct way.
you know, some of the things that we might be talking about in the future might have us building on that property.
Yeah.
And or expanding that property.
Well, that's just it. Right now, I mean, if,
Item 5.
Item 5,
yeah,
acceptance receiving.
Exactly.
we'll get there.
Yeah. Or another, or a more
also leave it right there,
logically
just-
located recycling facility.
Yeah.
All right, the rest of the projects are the operations locker room, which we will cover on.
Oh, yeah,
I think
we
that's
will.
item 3.
Item 3, yeah.
And then we have, this is a sewer line rehabilitation, and it's actually combined with the Laurel sewer line project, and those two projects, you guys, the board already approved the award of that contract, so that project we're just getting ready to schedule for construction. And then the last one is the school tank refurbishment. So I'll, just as an example, click on that and show you what the reports look like. So these are our quarterly reports. This is the second quarter. Like I said, it's a little bit behind. But basically it gives a description of the project. So this project is a tank refurbishment. So this project is down in San Leo Hills. And we've got a map that kind of shows that, where that is. That tank was installed in 2001. It was inspected in 2015. It was determined that the rafters, the lining was delaminating, and then it exposes the metal, which then can corrode, and you have structural issues. So this project, I think was originally scheduled the previous fiscal year, but we deferred it. I think we were looking at cuts and stuff like that, so we deferred this project. Now we're actually designing it. The updates kind of tell you what's going on. It says reviewing 90% plans. Actually, we're reviewing the 100% plans right now. We've got no change orders, in this case to the designer, so it's not the contractor, but the designer. We've got a $62,000 contract with Harper and Associates. I would say maybe 50% of that is actually inspection during construction, so, and we've paid them out, not much, 20% probably now. And then our schedule is, we're in design and we're estimating to bid this out in April. That's probably going to slip till May. Just because of the budget process that we're in now kind of pushes things a little bit on our projects. And that's this project. And
Jason,
I will
that-
show
that-
you just a
letter-
quick photo, kind of what that is.
that letter J, was
Uh-huh.
that just tying it to the map? you
Yeah.
know, the
Yeah,
listing? Okay.
yeah, exactly. So,
So if you go on the website,
so you could click on
yeah.
the list on the side, or you could say, okay, I want to know what this is, which is J, and it'll pop up.
Okay,
And then
And there's no rhyme or reason for A, B, C, and D. It's
Right.
just
just a listing.
And if you click on that, then you go to the actual
Sheet.
update sheet. So, and this is all available to anybody that goes onto our website.
And I think Director Sinell wanted to know how many people go to this website, and I've been meaning to find that out. I'm sure it's a ton.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, there's lines of people waiting to get out.
Well, I mean, there's at least 3 or 4 of us that might try it now.
But I can tell you, last year we looked to see what other districts were doing, and I don't think I could find any local districts that had as much knowledge on their websites about their projects as we do. So when you guys get that transparency award, I don't know, is that yearly? Hopefully this
It's a
helps. with
one-time
that.
thing.
So is that a one-time? Okay.
It's on the agenda tomorrow, District of Distinction.
There you go. So I did want to just show, I'll just focus on a couple other projects. So schoolhouse is in design. That's what a quarterly report looks like. North-south pressure reducing station is in active construction. And what a quarterly report looks like for that is it'll give you, what's going on. At this case, we were just reviewing submittals. We're actually about halfway done with the job now. And then it will list any, not design change orders, but any construction change orders. And at this phase of the game, we were actually asking for change orders for deducts and programming. There were some things that we wanted to add a valve. And we've run into a few things. And so on their third quarter report, this will get updated. And over here you would see the budget amount, 365, the bid amount, 193, and then you would see those monthly invoices to the contractor, and then any change orders and that percentage down below. So, and I will just give you a quick look at kind of what that looks like. So like James said, these are in the northern section. They don't have any SCADA. They were built in the 60s, I think 64. That's our north pressure reducing station. This is a nighttime, this is the station here. We're actually cutting into the pipe downstream of it to install a valve. And it's an isolation valve, so we kind of isolate the station to then work on it. We gutted it, we poured a new, you can see it's got block walls. We poured a new pad, a new floor with a sump.
It was just
It's
it was just gravel.
Yeah, it was
before
just
that.
gravel.
So the pressure reducing valves are clay valves, is that one of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you remotely control it? Is it on the pilotry?
So
So it's electrically actuated?
Yeah, so we have a solenoid. So basically, we have a solenoid system with double solenoids on it, and then basically we'll
You can drive it open and close?
drive it
with each
open and
solenoid?
close. But the set points are set, so this way that's all through mechanics, because you got the small little diaphragm valves, and then you got the solenoid that sits on top of the stem to push it down or up.
Mhm.
So we'll set the set points based on the. I don't remember if this is a downstream pressure control or not. I think they're downstream pressure controls. Rob, you may know. But so they'll be set based on that downstream pressure control. So it'll automatically modulate based on demand if it is
So
downstream
does
pressure
would the
control.
program reside here locally, or is there a PLC out in the field?
There is, yeah.
yeah, there's an RTU unit that'll be installed in the station.
So the control program resides locally in that RTU PLC?
Right, but we'll have wireless connections, so they'll be able to control it here
Right.
in this office, or well, next door. And there's actually no power at these stations currently, so that's a part of this project is bringing power into these vaults.
Or else all that stuff won't work.
Yeah, you need
Or you'd be
power.
changing batteries a lot.
That's right.
You don't only work on sunny days?
And here's just some valves outside, again, just replacing and making those connections. This is 2 budgeted projects, but they were bid as one to get that volume pricing. So this is the south pressure reducing station existing. That vault, again, was built in the 60s. It's been demoed. There's our easement there, and that's the existing piping that was left over. What we did, one of the change orders that'll show up on the next third quarter report, is a lot of the piping coming into the station and out of the station. It was determined that it was just old and needed to be replaced, so we had to replace that.
Matter of fact, we actually found a leak. It was coming out of the thrust block, just weeping through. And as they found it, and I don't know if did they find the location of the leak yet?
Yeah, in fact, this is that work right here. We actually just did that Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, so we poured the new floor and then we ripped this out. It was a heat and beat fabricated in the field fitting in the 1964, and it's been leaking since God knows when. And we just happened to see it, and we said, okay, we're here, we're mobilized, let's fix it.
So you're pouring a new cast in place ball.
Yes, yeah. So it's
Have you guys thought about, obviously on this one you're not doing it, but we had a big project at Rancho where we had 7 or 8 big system PR stations that we converted them from all, we put them all at grade to eliminate confined space.
Yeah, we actually looked at doing that, but most of these systems, this is a residential neighborhood, and I mean they're freaking out about the SCADA antenna that we're putting up.
Oh.
So the last thing we want to do is put a bunch of piping above
Yeah,
ground.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
But and a lot of our other PRV stations are right next to roads and stuff. So you know we didn't really have a lot of space, but we looked at it in a couple areas. But I don't think we have a single PRV that's above ground, and you know and it's a lot of vaults for us because as you know we have very few pump stations because we get water at a fairly high grade,
Right.
but we have a lot of PRVs. So,
yeah. So like I said, this project is in construction. It should be done probably next month. And then the last project I was just gonna show you, a quarterly report. Again, this project was completed, but so wanted to just show you as an example. This project was completed. We had less than 1% change orders on the project. And this project will actually come off the list in third quarter, so you won't see this one again. So as the projects are completed, they're brought off. And just as an example, and you may recall, this was the roof above the wet well room, the existing, and then it was recoated and structural improvements were made. This was the access down into that wet well room and recoated, stairs, railing replaced, and some other structural improvements. So
and Jim, all that corrosion is just from 2-3 years of gas,
yeah,
sewer
Really?
gases. That's all it is. Sewer gases.
So, I mean, we're going to continue to do this every 3 or 5 years?
No, it's basically what happens. Do you remember we used to get odor complaints about lift station 1?
Yep.
And so then we put a cover to cover the wet well.
Mm-hmm.
The resulting of putting the cover on was all that corrosion.
Trapped all the gases.
Yeah, we trapped
Yeah.
all the gases. So, and in the meantime, we upgraded the odor handling equipment to try and create a vacuum to get that out, but the damage was done. So now, with the upgraded odor control and the coating, it'll last longer, but you will have to recoat, but it shouldn't be a 3-year cycle. It should
Yeah.
be more of a 10 to 12-year cycle, hopefully.
Jason,
Okay.
this system is pretty new, the electronic tracking. So you mentioned that LS1 project will come off the list. Does it stay there so that somebody can search and say, hey, 5 years from now, hey, what projects has the district done over the last 5 years?
it stays internally, but
No,
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 Not
it does.
searchable.
It does. If you, my understanding is you could search through our archives because
Okay.
what's on the website, those documents get archived.
That'd be a nice feature to look forward and say, hey, 10, 20 years from now, it'd be nice to be able to
Yeah.
search and just say, what trip down memory lane, which projects have you gotten done? Or just
Well,
search by
after,
completed
after
projects.
10 years, it's going to come off no matter what, based on
So
our.
is this
Well,
part-
retention policy,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is this embedded data part of GIS?
So no, this is actually just a web drive using free Google Maps application to show, because the GIS functionality it takes a lot more room up, and we didn't need to show the infrastructure and everything else, and we didn't want to show the infrastructure on the website. So plus to get the GIS link to the website, you're talking about a lot more integration.
Yeah, for security, you don't
Yeah.
want to put a lot of detail.
yeah. And so as projects come off, new projects come on. So we just had the award of the contract for Senexon for
Mhm.
Stargaze and River Run. So on third quarter, you'll see that project actually show up here.
And-
So
And this was done a few years ago, because I remember the board asked for a simple way to kind of see this thing that's really user friendly.
Yeah.
And actually Rob's staff, along with Jason's staff, developed this in-house to do, so we didn't use a
Oh,
consultant
excellent
to
job.
do any of this.
Yeah, and we are looking at updating this to a web-based GIS map, not with all our
Yeah.
facilities, but something a little bit more.
Less
Nice.
balloons.
Yeah.
Maybe show the types of
I
pipe.
think I think Director Martin was.
But this
concerned
is
about
nice.
the
You get
teardrops.
Yeah, really, I
The
mean,
teardrops
oh
or
my goodness.
the pins.
The pins. We call them pins. Yeah.
Yeah, these pins?
Yeah.
Oh,
But that's what Google's.
Yeah, yeah,
tools
yeah,
will
yeah,
give you.
no, that's
So.
excellent.
All right, Jason, is that
Yeah, so if there's any other, we can go into further details on any of these projects if you want, or that's
great.
that's.
No,
the
that's very
conclusion
nice.
of the-
I mean, everything somebody'd wanna know if they wanted to know.
Well, Jason, you got the next two items.
I
So
will.
you might as well keep
Now,
on going. You're on a roll.
the number of people looking at this would be very important.
I have it on my note to do that and have that information when I present this to you annually, which will be in August.
My question
I'll
is-
have that number for
My,
you.
my question to
Let's
you,
do a pool.
what number is going to impress you? 10?
No, I think I should do a $5 pool. $5 pool.
Is this closest
Get
to
a
the
little
pin
boxes,
or,
you know, and I would be guessing 6 or less.
Well, if you count internal.
No, that's not fair. Come on.
Anything from a
my wife
Vallecitos,
log on at home and then just
Yeah,
try to.
You get your $5.
anything from a Vallecitos IP. All
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
I'm on here, myself and my staff, we're on here all the time, actually.
Yeah.
We use it as a resource internally quite a bit.
Yeah, now, I'm putting this down on my minutes here. 6 or less.
Yeah. Well, the problem is if this, we have to recuse ourselves.
Oh, sure.
We could just get on at home.
That's
and
right.
say,
Yeah.
I say 25.
Okay.
All right, the next item is the locker room.
Project
and
you've all been.
Oh,
waiting
that's
for.
the one, baby.
And I know
We're
you-
talking big time now.
I know you have these in your board packet, but I also stapled the bid results of all the 3
Yeah.
bidders just for your
That's
information.
terrific. That's terrific. See, I said.
And we've got the legal,
3.
and I clarified
30?
some stuff on that.
Can't
I
remember.
Oh,
think
we did get
I
that?
was
Is
20.
that-
I think I was.
about that, yeah.
I think I was
Oh, okay.
20,000 off.
I didn't take the tablecloth
Yeah.
from the restaurant that you wrote on.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I don't know if it's worth it to go through the background history. Are we
No, I
all
think we
pretty-
know it.
pretty
We
well
know the
Okay,
history.
so bottom line, we've got a low bidder, 352,000, which comes out to about $675 a square foot. If we went for the full 783 square foot full edition, it'd be about $578 a square foot.
What does the larger edition get you? As a reminder.
The larger edition gets you about 10 more lockers, I think, but really gets you those
Two
the 2
showers,
showers and
2
2 sinks with all the plumbing that gets in there.
I would de-emphasize
So-
the number of lockers because that's the lightning rod on this project.
Yeah.
There's another
Yeah.
director that equates everything to why
Yeah.
do we need so
Why do we
many
need?
lockers?
Why does everybody need a locker?
And it's really, to me, it's more of it's a space needs, and
Mhm.
while we're putting the space in there, we have room for more lockers too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely getting more space, and if you were to, let's say, go with the smaller footprint and then improve that at a later date, it's going to be exponentially more expensive because now you're talking, how do you get that plumbing in now? How do you get that plumbing? And now you're going underneath the building and.
Well, but can't you add just a little bit of dollars and extend the plumbing to the clean out to the end of the first phase?
Stuff
No, so
It's almost like a
the existing line, the existing drain line, according to the architect, won't handle, based on the uniform plumbing codes, 2 additional showers. Because it's very realistic to say that you're going to have 2 showers going at the same time, plus some people using bathrooms all at the same time. And that bathroom and the women's bathroom are tied
all
together
on the same line.
on the one line.
Yeah.
So adding 2 more showers.
How big is the line?
It's 4-inch or 3-inch, 4-inch. It gets bigger right out there.
I think it's 4. But
It's 4 inch.
I have to look.
So, but that's based on pure UPC. So basically, they're saying that you
4
would
inch.
Yeah.
need another.
Can you pull that plan over here so
Sure.
I can see what this guy's line to is
Jason, do you have
about?
anything electronic you can show or no? Is it just the
I really don't
paper plans?
apologize.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I could pull these plans up on the screen. If you
Our
can.
existing facility is
Yeah, Jason, we're going to take on this.
Sorry. Okay, so our
existing facility is over here.
Right.
So as you walked in that hallway,
Uh-huh,
and then
right.
the women's were here,
Yeah.
the men's were here, the urinals the urinals are all
Yep.
lined up here.
Right, and we're building
Um,
this portion, phase
Yeah.
one.
So the picture you're looking at right here is for the alternate bid of a
Full amount.
the full
Yeah.
building with the two
Yeah.
with the 2 sinks
Right,
and the 2 showers here.
right. And
So the line coming out is actually going out here and ties into that existing line here.
so, and this would be a new line from here to there
Yep.
into the existing.
Yep.
And that was in phase two,
That was in the alternative.
alternate.
Yeah.
not really-
yeah,
not really
we
a
kind of called our
phase.
alternate.
Yeah,
So
we're
they-
either doing
yeah,
one
yeah.
or the other. We're not doing both.
No, that's where
Yeah.
I'm going with this, is, because I do understand that, in the future that is a possibility, but while we got all this ripped up, I mean, putting the sewer line, I mean, if this is a
Oh,
private line in there,
yeah, doing that portion.
Yeah, we
doing that little portion, then we punch into it later.
Yeah, that'd be a change order.
But
could-
not $400,000 change order.
No, but it'd be
More
part
than
of
the-
that 100,000. It's only $100,000 difference to do the two jobs.
Yeah, it's
right?
100,000. Yeah, almost exactly $100,000 more.
For the both? I thought it was an additional $4.
No, only
No, no, no.
$100,000 more.
Yeah.
It's 450.
So it's
Right bottom of the
350
page,
it's
452,
350 for the
300.
smaller and 450 for the whole kit
Yeah,
and
it's
caboodle.
only
Page
100
two.
it-
Where at?
Now go to the bottom of the first page, the top line of the
Oh,
last
yeah.
paragraph. Yeah. which was
Well, let me
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah.
let me just show
Okay.
you right here. So here's our low bid. It's 352,
Right.
and this is our base bid. This is our
Right, the
smaller,
base.
and then 352. That's for the full.
452.
450,
Well, the
sorry,
Heavenly Gate,
450.
that's still 350,000 less than where we
Yeah.
were before.
Absolutely. Our original quote was 613. I think.
Yeah, but then we had to add for the mechanical.
Well, yeah. So now we got it all because now we got a competitive
Push it all
bid for
together.
mechanical, we got a
Yep.
competitive
Oh, see,
bid
this
for
is even better than I thought.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was 352, and then the second portion was an additional
So
452.
from the staff level, right now we have this thing drafted up as a board memo to award the smaller jobs, just because that's our assumption based on trying to save as much money. However, the discussion is there a consideration for doing the whole thing for $100,000 more?
Yeah,
for
that's what we
$450?
wanted to discuss.
Well, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. What do you think?
Yeah, it's worth considering.
Yeah.
I think so too. I mean, it's worth taking to the board and letting the board make the decision. But
Okay.
I was just absolutely, I said, that's how we got to 8. 3 plus the 4
No,
was
yeah.
the 8. And I went, oh, good, we saved 400,000.
So, but it will chew. So before, if it was a $600,000 job, we would have to increase the budget. So
Right.
now we could do the whole job within the budget.
And you'd have about 30 left over.
Probably a little less because you got to remember the contingency goes up too. So you probably have
Yeah.
20 left or so.
What
But
did we have we only had 600 in the budget for the original?
yeah, so if you look at the staff report,
Well, 810.
you had 810 total, right?
Where are we at?
Second page,
Second
top-
page.
Page.
You have 810 total.
810.
So now you look at all the deducts, and then you have 135 left. So you're basically going to add another about $110,000 with the contingency.
Yeah, the difference between the base bid and the alternate bid was almost exactly 100, and then like James is saying, there's gonna be some more contingencies and things. So it's gonna eat up almost all of that 135 if you
Yeah.
went with the alternative.
Everything
Now,
else stays the
whose
same.
overhead is this?
That's our
That's
staff
our
overhead.
yeah.
That's not the consultant. That's our staff overhead.
2.25, 2.21.
We've
That-
had this discussion.
That's what we charge ourselves. But same with the Jim, when you come in on the other side, when you're wearing your other hat, and you get an hour's worth of charge, it's an hour's worth of labor plus the overhead.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
But our
consistent.
overhead
Maybe it
rate's
should
probably
be-
less than yours.
Maybe you should say staff parentheses,
Yeah.
including overhead, and have it all one number.
Yeah, right now the way our accounting system spits it out is that's the way to do it because
Separates,
they don't spit out. You know how normally like I'm a consultant, you'll see like, Rob Schul's time and total
Multiplier.
multiplier.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
that's,
right,
that's
right.
all this is.
That's
a
all that is.
multiplier.
Yeah.
So, but the way our accounting system, they move overhead once a month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not done weekly or hourly.
But Craig, you're talking about just how we communicate it.
Yeah.
Instead of separating, it's a lightning rod.
It is,
Just
yeah.
combine it, staff
Staff including overhead.
Sure, so then the
It'd be
staff,
177.
so the staff number would just be one number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
staff including overhead. And we could do that, it's just the way we show it.
Oh.
It's the same number though, at the end of the day.
Right.
And what's our groundwater? Is that 52?
It was
70.
72 or something.
Yeah,
just
it
a
was a
little.
little over
72.
Yeah. So you're either
And-
gonna
and
have
the solar
a,
was almost
Well,
300.
yeah,
either
that-
the alternative
you know,
or the groundwater.
Well, or put in the sewer line only.
The sewer line change order, I don't know what that would be, so
If it's more than $30 a lineal foot, I'll do it myself.
prevailing wage?
Prevailing?
Jason, do you
We could
remember?
probably give you a jackhammer too from construction. Might even get some guys to help you.
Do you remember the number of lockers that end up in these? And I hate to focus on those, but I'm getting you prepared for the board meeting.
Yeah,
Good question.
I want to say it was somewhere in like around 70. You mean the ultimate?
Well,
The-
yeah.
the-
would you-
the-
how many
the
total
two.
lockers do you end up with? Because the question was being raised of why didn't we just convert the women's locker room and have the men take over that?
Yeah.
And if we, I think we put that to bed, but now it's like, oh, we're adding all these lockers. How many lockers do we need? We only have 50 something people out there. Why
Yeah,
do we need
so
80, 90
I
lockers?
think what happens is a small locker room, and Jason, you could get the numbers, but it will work for us, and we have a little extra. And the ultimate locker room would work for what we would ultimately need in theory for staff. You know, because you have to remember we have, and Rob, help me with these, like 35% growth left, roughly.
Yeah, about that.
Average between water and sewer. I think we have more sewer than water, but call it 35%. So as you grow, obviously technology and things could help offset the need for additional personnel, but sooner or later, there's more pipes to clean,
Right.
more work to do, and that's more,
75.
more personnel. How many?
So 75 in the full, in the full.
And what about in the smaller?
Hold on, we're adding 75 or it brings
Total,
us
no,
to a total
total.
of 75?
Brings us to a total of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between, just in the men's side.
Just the men's side.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's for the
Remember-
ultimate though.
Right. That, when you say ultimate, what do you mean?
I mean, that's for the bigger
bid al-
project.
the
bid
larger
alternate?
footprint.
Bid alternate.
What
Yeah.
about the base bid?
The base bid, let me just count them.
Yeah.
I think I can just count them.
I thought it was like 58 or 60.
There's a 10 locker difference, right?
Oh yeah.
between the two?
Yeah.
Then it'd be like.
Yeah, I don't think we're
65.
gaining that much more. It's more of the showers and the sink.
Yeah,
Because it
And
just
a little
takes
bit
up
more
so much
space
more
between.
wall space, you know.
right.
So, I still say we'd be welcome. I know Ed would be all for it to bring any of the directors into the locker rooms, except for Director Evans, obviously,
Yes.
during
Thank you.
change out time to see how much space there really is.
Well, and
No,
that's-
no, I think we all agree we need to expand that area.
Well, I think that's the key thing. It's more, to me, it's more about space than the number of lockers.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
putting in this space.
Yeah, putting in the
And that gives
space,
you more perimeter
Area-
space to
yeah.
put in some lockers.
and if we build the space and we put in the sewer line, but we don't do the sinks and the extra showers, because we weren't gonna do that initially.
Yeah.
So we build the wall, we build the roof, yada, 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 and I'm trying to find, you know,
But I mean, you're gonna in a change order atmosphere, you're gonna end up spending, $750,000 of that $100,000 to build a bigger building, bigger footprint, and put in a sewer lateral, because that would be a negotiation. I mean,
what, I'm trying to find $75,000. I don't care how
What's
it's,
odd is that the architect Don Gillis, he did Rancho's
Mhm.
office before he did this one.
Yeah.
yeah,
And he gave us locker room facilities that were probably 50% bigger than we needed.
Yeah,
And it's like he overcompensated
Yeah.
on this one and it made it
too
Yeah.
small.
far the other direction.
Yeah, but we didn't have that private bathrooms up here, right? You guys didn't Rancho have a? Because I heard from the architect, what Bill Rucker was telling me stories about. Maybe they offered a private GM's bathroom. We said, no, we don't do
GM
that.
had, and that was in the main building, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the operations building. We actually ended up converting part of the locker room
To
to
something
more
else?
office space. Yeah,
'Cause it was so big?
It was huge. Yeah.
Where are the prices of the lockers themselves? Is that the
They're in
interior finish
the
system?
nine item number, bid item number
Oh,
9,
special?
specialty
Yeah,
systems.
especially systems. So
And this
uh,
contractor, and we clarified it in writing
Zero.
already. He put it into his interior systems.
Okay,
That's
put in
what-
number 8.
Yeah,
Yep.
he put number 9.
yeah, and
as
if you
number 8.
kind of compare his number 8 versus the other
And-
number 8s, you can see there's a huge
Yeah.
Yeah,
difference,
that's why.
and that's why.
Yeah, and then one
If
of
you
the
add their 8s and 9s together, it's a better comparison.
Yeah.
yeah, and one of the other contractors for the lockers themselves,
Jeez, oh.
the contract,
my
the
God.
supplier actually
I know
sent us a
MW
quote,
too.
Yeah.
and,
This guy
and
was
it
gonna
was
make
like
a killing
12,
on lockers.
12 grand just for lockers.
I'm just trying to figure a way to address the criticism I know we're going to get, and if we can reduce the number of lockers, but without reducing the size of the space.
So,
But that's going to have an insignificant impact
Yeah.
on the price of the
Well, and
project.
that's
It
just
really
and
is.
But it's a lightning rod.
Director Hernandez, and to your call, if we make the building bigger and put the plumbing in, we're gonna spend the majority of that money. Not all of it, but we'll probably spend more than 50% of that money doing that work without putting, because you have to do everything else except for 2 showers and 2 sinks.
Which money are you talking about?
The $100,000 difference.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll spend. You're gonna spend 60,000-70,000 because you're doing everything except for putting in 2 showers and 2 sinks. I mean, that's actually, as I think about it more, you're probably spending 80-90% of that $100,000.
Well, showers are $15,000 a piece.
Yeah.
Sinks are probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So you got 30. You're gonna, you're
Yeah.
$40,000 is all you're gonna save.
At most.
Yeah. And so 35 and 20 is 55. So I'm not there yet.
I just pulled up our plumbing estimate was 46,000. Now that's with showers and fixtures and everything, so it'd be something less than that.
Now, do you know who did their estimate? I don't think he did it himself.
Oh, I don't know. I
Yeah.
assumed it was done in house or with the.
Probably not. No, I'm one of the old school. I used to do it.
But I will say that their estimate was 300,000.
Roughly half the total
Yeah.
employee.
Guys, is that right? Field staff is about 52, mid 50,
Maybe this is
55
the old-
folks out
54.
there?
54 in operations.
Yeah.
Total, I think, but that includes everything, I believe.
Yeah.
So probably 52.
Well, I mean, but Ed should have a locker too.
Yeah.
If there's ever an
Yeah, yeah.
an
Oh,
incident,
yeah,
he
yeah,
needs
no,
to go out
absolutely.
there and.
So if you figured you still had 35% growth, that wouldn't be 1-to-1.
No, not
So
all of
maybe half
Yeah.
that percentage.
Yeah, but that gives you 75.
Yeah,
So
On 42,000.
so that sounds.
What's
about
42?
right.
42,000. Sorry, I was showing you an old estimate. Their latest
basically
estimate was
kinda-
it was
we're looking at-
42,000 for.
we knew we needed in the 70s for projected growth rates based on okay, if we have
an additional
the
42,000.
crew here, we need another crew there. We just
Mhm.
kind of came up with an estimate on
And
that.
so how many lockers again were on the women's side?
I don't remember six or 8. It's under 10.
I don't
Yeah,
recall.
it seemed like it was around 10 or something.
Yeah, it was
I
like I
remember
think
going from
6 or
half
8.
size to full size too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and one of the big differences is and this is Ed's words, is their personal protective equipment, the amount of stuff they have now compared to the amount of stuff they had back in the late 90s is significant.
Yeah.
So
So that was kind of the reason to go to
full
full.
lockers.
oh yeah, because they got their boots.
Oh,
their
yeah,
boots
yeah,
can't
no,
even get in their lockers.
Yeah.
They're using.
So the women's side is obviously it's underutilized. There's only a couple of.
Yeah, but the women's
Female
side, when we
operation.
looked at reusing, remember if, on
Right.
that committee meeting, the women's side is only 450 square foot, and we could only get full-size lockers, maybe a dozen to maybe 20 lockers, and we really crammed them in the women's side, and still have room for benches and stuff. So, and that's with taking the showers and everything else out.
So I mean, for future employee growth, you probably want to figure that the percentage of women would go up.
Sure, but
Yeah.
from 2 to 4.
Right.
They've
So
got
some
all
of
the
the
room there,
capacity
yeah.
would come from that.
Yeah.
Is there even 2?
Yeah, yeah, Georgia and
Oh, Georgia,
and,
yeah.
Well,
and
technically
3. There's
Meg
3.
Cheryl.
Does Megan have a locker?
Megan and right, yeah, she technically does. She doesn't use it, but yeah. But there's 3 women right now. But there's really only 1 field staff.
Yeah,
woman.
just Cheryl. Yeah.
And Georgia does go out in the field from time to time, mainly to learn and observe.
Right.
So she just has boots and a hard hat. And it doesn't really need a lock for that. So, but I mean, we can't say what our workforce will look like in the future. But there's an assumption that we won't need as many women's facilities as men's.
That's a fair assessment.
But hopefully more than you have now.
Yeah. So.
So you want to combine the staff and overhead costs in the board memo?
Yeah.
And recommendation would just be for discussion.
Well, I mean, what? Yeah,
Do
what
we
would you
wanna-
want to?
do we actually want to make a recommendation, or?
Well, staff report's already out.
Well, there's two questions. Is there
No,
a staff
no.
recommendation and is there a committee recommendation?
And, yeah.
He's
so-
still trying to get to 70,000.
Yeah, you're darn right I am. And, cause it, you know, traditionally what I do is I start at 20%, as a, you got a contingency in here?
There's a 10% contingency.
Yeah, okay, I don't see it, but
It's a
Change order.
change order?
Contingency,
Okay, yeah.
10%.
So when I'm starting at a napkin, I got 20% contingency.
It goes down.
When I get to the 90%, it goes to 10. When I get the bid, it goes to 5 because traditionally, I mean, we got everything we need. So that's what I did in my head. I just did 5. So, you know, if you change that to 5%, you're at about
Jim,
16,000.
don't be stealing our contingency now. That's,
Well,
that's
we
set
don't need.
by
I mean, we don't
ordinance.
need it. You know, if the guy screwed up, he's going to pay for it.
That's why it's a contingency, we might need it.
Well,
You
and if we
can't say we
don't,
don't need it.
if we don't need it, then we got it to use.
If you don't need it, I'll give it back to the district.
And what about what special inspections might we have?
Well, I got 6,000 from one job. I'm just trying to see if I got some other jobs that I might have surpluses on.
We are going to do majority of the inspections in house, but we don't have. We're self-permitting, so we don't have a building inspector.
Right.
Okay, so we're having specialty inspections on some of those mechanical systems and some of the other actual building systems. You know, the truss, the floor. You know,
Right.
Yeah, concrete, soil, anchors.
Yep, all that stuff. Because since we're self-permitting, we want to make sure it's built correctly.
Yeah, but we'll have our inset
Yeah. Okay.
in-house
For
inspectors.
everything
Will
else.
be looking at interior stuff and piping and stuff.
So those costs, the stuff we're doing in
It's part of staff.
interior, that's in.
That's
This isn't just existing costs to
That's
date.
projected.
This is
Both.
Yeah.
It's both.
Well, then help me to understand. We have $59,000, $60,000 in staff time,
Yep.
and then the overhead is a multiplier of that. Is that?
Exactly. It's a direct multiplier.
And staff time, is that for the whole project that we've?
Yes.
We've.
Already expended plus projection.
Yes.
And we round the numbers to get the 0, 0, 0. So if you multiply, it might be off by a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
just to make.
And there's some staff that will be working on this that probably won't charge to this project that aren't captured here because they're part of overhead anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is really ops, some engineering, and some inspection.
Yep.
So the actual project manager for this project will be Dennis Bowman. He's in our purchasing. He's a purchasing supervisor, so he won't be charging directly to this job.
I mean, the real question that I see from that makes sense to me is we either recommend the smaller footprint project, and then we have $135,000,
You're right.
or we recommend the larger footprint project, and we have no extra money.
Wait a minute, you went from 20 to none.
I-
You're
Fine,
thinking
20.
So the extra 100,000 in the alternative gets you some additional square footage, some additional lockers, a couple showers,
Couple of
sinks,
sinks.
and plumbing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's pretty good value for $100,000.
Yeah, it sure is.
I have several other projects that are going to be bidding in the next couple months. Jim, there may be some savings on those projects.
Hey, don't make promises.
I'm just saying. I said maybe. I said maybe.
Under promise and over deliver.
That's a maybe. That's
So,
twice as good as no and half as good as yes.
Or put it in coming year's budget.
well, absolutely. I mean, that's
That's
the
easy.
It's almost time
groundwater-
for that. Yeah.
The
Budget time.
groundwater.
They're doing it right now.
the
I mean,
groundwater
well,
bid-
you know.
Right now I don't have it in there, but we
I
can
mean,
put it
that's
in there.
what we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
when
If
we-
we could find the money or put it in the budget.
Yeah,
So I mean,
we're at the
we're
point-
2 months away from
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Might as well just do that.
Yeah, well, because you're right. I was so I'm so misunderstood the 400,000, but for $100,000 not to do the whole damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just
Yeah, I would tend more toward that.
No, I know.
Seems like pretty good value.
I can tell you,
for-
Ed will be
elated.
much happier doing the whole thing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he would be. I mean, it's the right project, and we're still, like you said, we're 500 or something a square foot
Which is more palatable.
for the
578.
yeah 570. That
For the alternative.
For
yeah
the alternative.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's over 700 for
Yeah.
the.
because it was 1,000 when we first started.
Originally,
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
peaked my
the
whole
last year's
interest.
price was $783 a square foot, $783 a square foot.
Yeah.
So we've come down from 783
Mhm.
to 578.
Well, I was using the
by,
gross
by,
number.
by making some
Yeah.
significant changes in.
Yeah. No,
Construction
we did
methods,
the right
heights.
thing. We did the right thing.
So we've saved
And
a ton of
I
money.
think the biggest difference, because we got a lot more bidder, I mean, we got 3 bidders, but we got a lot more interest in it, which, you know, just having that interest drives people's prices down,
Yeah.
is getting rid of those still tops.
Yeah, and I can
Oh,
tell-
absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that was.
And we're still disappointed that we only got 3, but it's
Yeah.
it's a big market, and this is a project that
Yeah.
it's a small project,
Yeah.
and a lot
Well,
of
it's
it.
a big difference going from one bidder on a specialty kind of thing
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
that's
No,
more
that everybody I
conventional
thought. I mean,
construction.
10,000 square feet. You don't even talk about concrete.
Right.
Yeah.
Tilt-up concrete. If
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
under
that's why it was so
10,000.
expensive, is, you know, you have
Well,
to
yeah,
have a guy
yeah,
who's
it's
willing
pour-
to do that
You gotta
small
put
job.
pour strip down, pour pads. Yeah, it's just no.
And there'll be honestly a lot of work for this contractor because all the submittals, it's prevailing wage, so it is a more difficult project for the contractor. So this price reflects that.
No, I
unfortunately.
understand. I mean,
But there's no way around that.
We could save 20% if we didn't have to worry about prevailing wage.
Actually, no, 30, 35.
Well, only
Well,
on
I
labor.
say
Only
20
on-
because-
On labor,
only on
yeah,
labor.
on labor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Were we shooting for the 18th
Yes.
meeting date?
Yes, which means I have a full another week to edit this and get it into Diane.
Would the committee like us to include in the staff report a committee recommendation, or do you want to make a recommendation at the?
Well, I'm ready to make a recommendation.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
I
For
think we
the
need to do-
alternative, the larger project?
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
could
with the
describe
explanation.
both options, the base
Yeah.
and the alternate, and
Okay.
then, the committee.
Yeah, we'll add,
committee
we'll add
Expand
another,
on
yeah,
this.
we'll add
Yeah.
another paragraph
Yeah.
explaining the differences and the price per square foot difference.
Coming
And then,
down.
yeah,
the
Yeah.
larger
And then,
project.
just base it based on the, based on that, and based on the value of going with the larger project, we presented it to, engineering equipment committee, and engineering equipment, staff and engineering equipment recommend the larger alternative bid item for 450.
Yeah.
So, we'll go forward that way.
Yeah, and it looks like, just doing the mental math, will be still within budget.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be showing a small surplus.
yeah, it'd be
Hopefully
hard to
we'll
go back and
chew
ask for
into
even
that,
more
but-
money, but if we
Yeah,
can do it,
we don't
so
wanna do that.
that's good.
Yeah, and that's good. And the budget was originally set for the larger square foot, so it almost, it's like we budgeted correctly.
Yeah.
So,
We're gonna need to take a break here for 5
Okay.
minutes.
sure.
Okay, so the next item.
Before we begin, because you said something that sprung into my mind. So throughout the year, we have these capital projects all going on, whatever little reserve, whatever monies are not used. Where do those monies go?
They, so basically, the monies theoretically never leave the capital funds.
Right.
Until they get spent, so they stay where they are.
Uh-huh.
So if they're in the, there's reserve and capital, there's
Right.
water, sewer, reserve and capital for both. So if they're in the water capital, they stay in the water capital, and if they're in the sewer capital, they stay in the sewer capital. So they just go right back to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And certain things, like for example, the groundwater study
Yeah.
that you're looking at specifically, that's probably not a capital item based on our auditors and accountants. So no money that's on a capital project, that's for capital, could come out of that. So money that needs to be used for that usually comes out of, our operating reserves. In this case, it'd be water operation. So essentially, when you're looking at like an expansion job and you see a budget surplus, it's all going back, and even if you wanted to use it for another, like, groundwater study or solar project study or anything like that, you can't use it.
No,
You'd have
in
to
my mind, I was
reappropriate.
thinking it goes back into the capital budget,
It stayed in there.
and then we build another budget,
Right.
Mhm.
and then it goes back, and so,
Yeah.
You just reappropriate
yeah,
it
it
to the
just,
right
it
project.
keeps
Yeah,
moving back and
it never
forth.
left.
The only
Yeah.
difference might be if you had a project with external funding, like grants
Yeah,
or loans or
okay.
interagency projects, then you can't keep that money and throw it.
All
in.
right, just making sure I knew what I thought.
Yeah, it doesn't disappear.
No, and it isn't really saved, it's just projected onto
It's
the
just
next,
not- yeah, it's just-
next
And it
budget.
doesn't really take a board action. We just come, when we close out a project, we
Yep.
say this much money is left, and it just
So
automatically.
Yeah.
at the usually end of the calendar year, and definitely at the end of the year, there's always the variances, the positive variance or negative variance. More water sales, we had a
Mhm.
positive variance on revenue input, but we had a negative variance because we had to purchase more water.
on the capital side, the same thing happens. You have positive and negative variances. Lately
Yeah.
more positive than negative because our budgets have been coming in good. But essentially, that's what ends up happening.
All right, we ready?
All right,
All right.
let's
Lisa.
see.
Okay, number 4 on the list is the boardroom upgrade. So the history of the course is part of the strategic plan to upgrade our equipment, and board approved the project several years ago, and then we split it and we just did the training room and all the conferences. That was done September 16, so it's been done for quite a while. Now we've been working on the boardroom, so we're at the stage where we actually were supposed to receive bids today, but we just did an addendum yesterday. We changed a couple pieces of equipment and extended the bid opening 2 days. So so we'll actually get prices Thursday.
All right.
So this is drafted with, we'll get prices. We'll have a contractor. We don't know exactly who that is, but we'll know Thursday. I printed out some sheets just to kind of give you an update on kind of what the project's going to involve. You've got the boardroom meeting room there. It's page 1.11, and we're improving and adding screens to the back behind the dais. You can see that. We're also adding monitors to all the they call it delegation stations. So it's where all the board members will sit, where the GM and legal will sit, also where Diane will sit, whoever's controlling the AV system, as well as any presenters and at the podium. So all those monitors will be added. We're also adding 2 cameras, one at the front of the room, one at the back of the room.
And real quick, those stations for the directors have voting capabilities too, so you can punch in your vote instead of saying aye. You actually just punch it in.
Right, so there'll be new mics, new speakers, there'll be the whole voting system that will be added. There'll be new track lighting that will be added. There's a custom table you can kind of see there on the side that will be built in your drawing. You can see it here. This table here will be built for staff. I'm not sure
Yeah,
which.
there's just not a good place for staff to make presentations from, particularly if there's multiple staff members. It's pretty typical for
Yeah, right.
in a board chamber to have a place for staff. So that's and that's a portable, so that can be moved in and out if there's a need.
All right. And
But it'll match the
rest
finish of the rest of it.
and the podium for public and speaking and all that.
Will be moved over to the side, over towards Diane, so if they need to hand information to
Yeah, so
Diane,
that's
or
over here.
load something up, and it clears up the middle for photo opportunities and people to approach the board, things like that. So you don't have a podium sitting right in the
And it's a mobile podium, so we can move it as needed for
All right.
types of presentations.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna ask is, can you be able to turn it so that you can have like
Yes.
meetings and
Yes.
address the audience?
Yep.
And we can totally move this out if we need to remove that and store it. We can move it.
And as you know, those projector screens on the side of the rooms that never work, the equipment in there is all going to get demoed. And originally we were going to take those screens out and frame them all in, but to save costs, we're just going to we're going to put the whiteboards back and just kind of leave them as is. But you can see there's 2 portable screens that'll be rolled out during the board meetings, so on either side. So I think right now we always have one sort of on the, I guess, left side of the room, so we'll have it on both sides.
We use the engineering screen right now.
Yeah, so that'll go back to engineering. We won't have to keep stealing that twice a month.
So the screens behind us
Mm-hmm.
are for the public, and
Right,
then the
yes.
screens on each side are for the public.
Correct. And then you'll have your screen.
We'll
in
have
front
ours
of-
on our
yeah,
monitor.
those will all be mirrored, so everybody will be looking at the
And
same.
I think there's an option for another big monitor at the back of the room, so that if you're a speaker at the podium, so Director Elwitharp, if you had turned the podium around and someone was there looking, they could see that monitor. It's called a confidence monitor,
it's
just so
called-
you know that what other people are seeing, you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, so we do
You know,
have.
it's interesting because I really do like the way Encina has it. They have that center big screen for the board to look at.
In the back of the room.
Well, it's actually right above above the
yeah.
center console where the
Yeah.
staff speaks.
Right.
Yeah. And it would eliminate these 2 big screens here.
Well, those screens are actually for.
Or the
for-
public,
for
but it would
public.
eliminate
For
the
the
2
public.
back screens.
That's for the public too.
How
How
much
much public in either thing?
You have your
4
monitors.
screens? Better screens, no waiting, huh?
More screens already.
So
Well,
we do have alternates. One is that screen in the back, that confidence screen at the back of the room. You guys will actually be able to see that. If you look up from your screen, you'll be able to see it in the back of the room as well.
Oh, is there another alternate that I don't have?
If you flip to the next page,
Yeah.
it kind of shows you where that screen is here in the back.
Oh, yeah.
That's the alternate screen, and then it also shows you the alternate cameras. So right now the base bit is these cameras at front of the room, back of the room, front of the room, back of the room,
Mhm.
and then we have these two additional cameras on the side that could be used just for different shots, different angles.
And keep in mind, the primary function obviously is for board meetings, but then we also want this to be functional for trainings, for
Yes.
water academy. So these other screens and these other functions, which, a lot of times, we don't have, granted, we could have a lot of people at the board meeting, but Mr. Hunsaker being there could just sit next to a screen. But for a water academy, then you're going to roll these screens out to the side more, so this way people in the back could see them. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, to reposition them better for the public.
Yeah, that's why I asked about the podium. That could be turned so that you can address a group.
We're also making improvements to how we're recording and archiving the presentations, and I think there's going to be some streaming, how we stream that, and then there's some additional additive items for a wireless mic system, instead of just using the built-in mics to go wireless, and also to have some video conferencing
Walk and
capabilities,
talk.
which I'm assuming is so if a board member's not on a trip, they could video conference in for a board meeting. I'm not 100% sure. I believe that's the intent.
Are we, can't recall, are we reconfiguring the cabinetry for the whole dais?
I don't believe so.
No.
Everything, all that all stays.
Just
Yeah.
the two items here.
Yeah, it's just kind of replumbing the
Uh-huh.
conduits
Right,
and all
right,
those
right.
connections.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
It's really just
carpeting stays. There'll be some patch and paint, but nothing
Yeah.
major.
new electrical outlets, basically, and
Yeah.
audio-visual connections.
Mhm.
And mainly just equipment, right? That's
It's mainly a lot of equipment, software, programming, all that.
Yeah, and we're gonna be,
what's the estimate?
well, we're not gonna have this for our board meeting. No.
No, actually, well, yeah, you'll have this at the same board meeting as
Yeah,
the
so I'll
locker room.
have.
Yeah.
We're gonna have prices Thursday. The plan is to go
Right.
get legal and have that ready so we can get that in the agenda next Wednesday
Okay,
and get
alright.
it to you guys on the
Yeah,
docket
but
for the
it'll be
18th.
broken down. The reason I'm still having a bit of heartburn for these other two portable screens when we got the
Yeah.
screens behind us.
Well, the screens really don't cost that much money, so we,
Well, that's-
They're
in
about-
reality.
Yeah, I think they're maybe 5,000 each.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah, that was one of the comments at the finance committee meeting, is all those screens, you can go to Best Buy or Costco and get them for
Well,
$500
you
a
really
piece.
can't do that, but $10,000, particularly if we got these screens behind, that's why in my mind,
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll come and look and see. Because I think it would be more convenient for people to look at the screens behind us as opposed to the screens to the side.
yeah.
But-
And then,
We'll see.
and that's actually, and we had that same discussion, and there's definitely some room, and it's just how much money we're saving with the screens. But also keep in mind for like a water academy or for a training, what would we need for those facilities?
Do we want that flexibility?
Yeah. And so, do we need just one screen? Who knows?
What was the engineer's estimate?
The engineer's estimates.
Don't say it out loud yet.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing a poll
Well,
again?
he's gonna do his estimate.
Okay.
I got it.
What's yours?
285.
230.
Right.
Telling you.
You lost
You're
a bit.
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. By the time you add the other stuff, it'll be another 100.
Well, the other stuff's added no matter what.
Well, so that key
No, that's
number
the base.
for us.
That's the base bid.
Yeah.
So it would be more if we were to get
Right.
Budget remains
those
340.
additive
Yeah,
items.
the key number for us is 340. That's
Yeah.
how much
See,
we have
look at that. I
left.
didn't even see that part. So.
Yeah, it's on the back. If you flip
Yeah.
this
So
page
if you
over.
flip to the back page.
Oh, see, I
of-
wasn't cheating. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I already went to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the budget currently is 750. We've spent 410 on the previous, so we got 340 left. With 230, hopefully, on this with the contingencies and
Mhm.
staff time, we should be right there. It's gonna be close, but
Mhm.
we should be right on the money.
All right,
I
well,
apologize
we'll
for not
have a
sticking
nice,
that in there, but,
Sounds good.
Nice discussion.
What time's the bid opening in?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock Thursday.
Now, our bid openings typically are 2 o'clock in the boardroom.
Yeah, if you want, we can send that information to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, why
I'd
don't we
like
do
to,
that?
I'd
so
like
we
to
can
see
get-
how close I am to 285.
I mean, yeah, so I mean, if you
Uh,
want to go, you could give a verbal.
I don't, not ready to make any kind of recommendation on this one.
You don't know what the
Yeah,
prices
We
are.
don't know what it is.
Yep.
Where we're going,
Yeah, we were
okay.
hoping to have them today, but.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
All right.
All right, last item.
Last but not
Septic.
least.
Yeah,
Okay.
You driving?
Yeah, I'm driving.
Okay.
So, there was a discussion, and the general manager asked me to kind of put this item on to discuss a possibility of Vallecitos opening up for septic haulers
Yes.
to provide a dump. So there's more than one aspects to the subject, but first and the most easiest portion is let's just talk about the facility location. Can it be done?
mhm,
Okay, and can that be done? And what, then we'll kind of talk about the next few things. So for us, we cannot handle the load, this concentration of the septic sewer, the septic byproduct basically at Meadowlark.
No.
So it would have to be downstream of lift station 1. Now, we already have a facility downstream, and the GIS maps, it's not refreshing, but the GIS maps here is,
You're moving too much. Just
okay, good. Okay, so in reality, you know, like this manhole is in the driveway, but because when you put everything together, I mean, you know, that pipe is not,
Schematic.
Yeah, right, right.
it's schematic, so it's graphical. But if you see this facility right here, that is actually a Vector dump station already. Now, it's not big enough to handle what we're talking about at Ewa, obviously.
mhm.
But from a connection standpoint, we have a connection that is downstream of our lift station that goes right to our outfall.
So that existing Vector station ties in downstream.
Yes.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, James.
It ties in here. We'd have to do some
It
plumbing.
ties into the
to
wet
make it-
well.
and we'd have to do
So
some
you-
plumbing.
Oh, it goes into the
Reconnect
website.
it downstream.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
reconnected downstream
You have
to
to
this
tie it into
manhole,
this pipe.
and this manhole is actually like right there.
Yeah.
Ah, good.
So, and it would have to be expanded, obviously.
Sure.
Size-wise.
Yeah, size-wise. But we do have a legitimate room, and we have a possible circulation route because we have in and out on both
Mhm.
sides
Yeah.
that is capable of handling large vehicles. If you've ever been to that site.
There's just no staffing. We don't have anybody.
Yeah, right, right.
Yeah, we're just talking right now from a physical standpoint. Okay, so
Right,
that's
right.
where-
Yep.
So physically, with some money spent, probably depending on what the needs are, you know, you need, well, I guess that gets into the next subject, but physically, we have a site and the plumbing with some minor additions to actually handle septage in a 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 to 50,000 gallon per day. Now, logistically, before we get into staff and everything else, we have some issues. So the way it works for water and sewer agencies is this, is we are exempt from installing water facilities regardless of land use code. So if the land use body says that's supposed to be a shopping center and we put a water pump station, we just say go pound sand. We're putting a water pump station. When it comes to sewer though, they have a right to say no. So if we put a new or expanded sewer facility here, we would need cooperation from the city of San Marcos to do so.
Even if we have one already, we're
Even if
just
we
in,
have one already, because now we're expanding and septage is different than what we have now. I mean, you could try to sneak it by, but
well, no, but I
logistically-
mean, no, we do
yeah.
have a septage receptacle there now.
No, we don't. We
Oh, I
have
thought
a
that was
Vector dump station, which takes
Oh,
regular sewer or dirty water, or you know,
Okay.
so on and so forth. We don't pump out septage tanks.
okay.
So and just to be clear, regular sewer and septage is really two different things. You know, the stuff that comes out of a septic tank is basically solids, and it's not only solids; it's solids that's anaerobic, which means it's devoid of oxygen in it, which grows a different type of bug and bacteria, which changes what we have. So I mean, we can't handle that. So the biological oxygen demand, or really the concentration of sewer, is not only considerably higher in septage,
Mm-hmm.
but the makeup of that sewer is considerably different. That's why we know we can't handle it in metal arc, because it would just destroy our biological
Yeah.
process. So now that we know we could physically do it, from a regulatory standpoint, we have three big issues. Traffic routing on San Marcos Boulevard is an issue. Okay, it's a busy street and it's not big enough. The city of San Marcos is an issue, and we have a high school, an elementary school / middle school, and a high school, all within the radius of the affected area, which would all have and be able to comment environmentally on the project.
Yeah.
And their comments can kill the project.
Well, yeah. They could,
Okay? So, from a logistics standpoint, mechanically we could do it. From a logistics standpoint, from a permitting / a regulatory standpoint, those are your issues. So let's say we get by all that, and we figure out a way to do this. Okay? Obviously, one more logistics standpoint. We still need, can we do it with EWA? Because what are we talking about? Are we talking about septage just within our service area? Are we talking about septage within EWA's service area? Or are we talking septage in North County? Anybody? So that's still a
yeah, right. We still need to discuss
Yeah.
it.
So I'm having a meeting with Mike Steinlicht on this Thursday, we're having lunch to talk about this very
Okay.
issue, about us having a receiving facility
Yeah.
off the EWA footprint.
So
Yeah.
if we get through all those issues, which mean initial meetings with the schools, initial meetings with the city, and traffic is going to be okay on San Marcos Boulevard because it's not that busy at the times that we're going to allow septage or something to that effect, and we could figure out what we could do. Then obviously we need a similar study for us to figure out what facilities need to be built, what testing facilities need to be built to make sure we're actually receiving the right stuff, putting in the right stuff, and then what the payback is. What do we set our price point at, right? And
Yeah,
what's
right.
the payback is.
Yeah.
Okay, so similar study that I probably EWA's done. We'd have to do something similar, but our numbers would be different, and it'd be predicated on still the same drivers though. How much? What's
Yeah,
our
right,
confidence in how much? So really not much different. And our facilities are different though. What we'd have to build now. The domino effect, and this is what I don't know, is, I mean I know some of it, is obviously our sewer is now higher concentration. So from our ratepayer standpoint, we'd be getting charged more for the average gallon of sewer, or average million-gallon sewer, just because it's a higher concentration. So we'd obviously have to think about that and build that into our pricing structure, and think about it, because right now it's not in our financial structure to reimburse or figure out how to credit back on setting our sewer rates. In other words, when we look at our sewer rates, this is what we get from EWA, and we look at our sewer costs, we add it all up and say, here's what our sewer rates need to be to cover, plus put some into reserves for replacement projects, right?
Maybe EWA could credit us. I mean, maybe there'd be some allowance for EWA.
Yeah, there's different
Yeah,
ways to
there-
do this,
there's
it's just
lots
an
of
accounting
ways.
issue.
Yeah, it's an accounting
Yeah,
issue.
exactly. 'Cause,
We'd have to
you know,
figure that out.
Yeah,
So-
because they're gonna, potentially, we wouldn't do this unless there was profit in doing it.
Yep.
So that profit could offset
Yeah.
some of the increase.
From a engineering water quality standpoint, we have a couple different things. Is now we're putting a lot more solids into the outfall. Right now, during the summertime, we dry out that outfall. I mean, we basically get it down to a trickle when we can during a certain point. Now it diurnally flushes because we don't have the capacity to pump all the regular raw sewer to Meadowlark because we don't have that much capacity and we don't have an equalization basin. But now we have a higher concentration of sewer. It's going to be more odor control. It's going to be more chemicals. So we have to take that into consideration. Last but not least, I don't know, this is something that we'd have to ask EWA, how would they handle it? If it's 50,000 gallons, would they just handle that as 50,000 gallons? Or would that actually be, since it's basically all solids, would that actually be a 10-to-1, considered 500,000 gallons of solids?
liquids
capacity
equivalent.
use?
I think all this is subject to negotiation.
Yep, and
Yeah.
those are the conversations I'll have with Mike.
Exactly. So, because then
I mean, if their desire is to not have something centrally there, I think we need to have some kind of concessions on these.
Yeah.
Right.
different issues.
So, but you can see how that one subject would kill it. Because if they say, hey, you know, septic has a concentration equivalent to, you know, 1 million gallons of
Right.
regular sewer, that takes an MGD, 1 million gallons of capacity away from Vallecitos, which means we have to build that treatment plant a lot sooner. So,
I think we'd have to be kept neutral.
Yeah.
Doing something like this.
Abs-
Any considerations that needed to keep us neutral?
yeah, well, I mean, ideally, having it down in Iowa takes care of all these issues.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
To move it out here, we'd
So,
have to,
so
we'd
the
have to have
only
concessions.
only
Yeah.
way it really even starts making sense is if it's almost like it's at Iowa, just upstream of the pipe. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, so basically it's in our service area, but really it's Iowa doing it. You know, that's the only way. I
Well,
mean,
the-
from
the
a
other-
logistics
The
standpoint.
other issue is labor.
Well,
He was
that's-
identified, they really don't need any extra labor,
Yeah.
but I can't see us
No.
No.
doing
Well,
something.
that's
here.
one of the things that I was, when you get to labor,
Yeah,
because,
that's next.
well, the conversations I've had from a couple of these folks, they're, back in the day, all this was automated. Like you do the gas station, you plug it in.
And I agree. I trust Diamond and those guys 100% to just do the right thing.
Well, no, I
And they
don't.
just- no, I'm joking.
Okay.
So, no, but I mean, down in the city of San Diego, their facility down at Lift Station 2, they have a testing facility and it's manned. And they take grab samples and test it. And a lot of times when the trucks are lined up, they'll take grab samples ahead of time and do some initial tests to even allow them to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll take samples, other samples that they can't get ahead of time and it gets dumped in. There's a huge penalty if you dump something in that you weren't supposed to dump.
Well, and then I heard also that there's a shutoff valve that can be, that's a sensor as well,
Right.
so that if the material is bad, it shuts it off and you don't
Yeah.
get to dump.
Yeah, so
So I don't know how much
Makes
automation.
sense, like
So-
VOCs or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's testing.
I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, I
I
don't
understand the same thing. But you gotta understand, and I'm trying to remember now. Lift Station 2 used to have the largest pumps in San Diego County. It was 300 million gallons per day. And this is, I worked with Scott Goldman when I worked
Mhm.
with Water 3, and we did this thing called the Wet Weather Feasibility Study for the city of San Diego for MWWD,
Mm-hmm.
Metropolitan Wastewater District for San Diego. And we studied the different lift stations and how their system, and where we could put detention ponds to not increase the size of those lift stations. And it's a 300 million gallon per day lift station. It's a big site, and they have a separate facility over here for the basically septic haulers. And there's quite a bit of space, and there's basically a detention basin there, so they could collect for a while before they even let it go into the lift station wet well, and they have isolation. We don't have any of those type of facilities. We would
Yeah, right,
actually,
no.
we'd actually probably have to eat up a significant portion of our property to build another wet well.
Holding tank.
Yeah,
It could all be
basically.
underground.
Yeah, all underground, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But you know, still, it costs money, and to do that and automation, and plus, you want the testing facility there. You'd have to man it somehow, even if it's on call demand, but you're still hiring somebody to do it. So logistically, and I haven't put enough thought into it, and then we haven't had a discussion, and we haven't had a discussion with Ed, at least I haven't, on how it would logistically work. But right now we don't have a staff member at Lift Station 1 except for maybe 1 hour per day.
Yeah.
No, that'd be part of your discussion with
Yep.
Mike, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's the real advantage of EWA is the people that they already have.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have the facilities there.
Yeah.
And, they have solids and separators and solid channels, and they're still building somewhere between $600 and $1 million worth of facilities there to accommodate the trucks and everything. So I don't.
100,000.
Was
not
it
million.
100? I thought it was
You said
600.
million.
600,000.
Yeah, you said million.
Yeah.
600,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same
Oh,
thing.
I thought you said 600 million.
No, 600,000 to $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, the
600 million. Wow.
the high one was 1.2 million, and
Yeah.
the low one was 600. So, and all of this was promulgated by, we need 100% approval
Yeah.
to expand the area, and
Yeah,
we're not
'cause-
going to get it.
Yeah, because there's only 20-something thousand. I talked to Tucker some more, and there's only 20-something thousand gallons per day. Based
within
on
the-
everybody's, he didn't use the word rosy estimates, but based on the
Yeah,
estimates that this is what we'll probably get.
Yeah.
and there's maybe 45 to 50,000 gallons a day, all of North County, so to speak.
Yeah, if you go outside the
If you
even
go
service area.
outside.
Yeah, well, the
If-
report they sent was a little bit better. It was 30 and 50 something. But we can't get, unless we get 100%, and we know Vista's gonna say no.
Yeah.
So we're having this conversation between us, but also a conversation with the legal staff to see, is there anything we can do to expand the area at Ewa and or at Vallecitos?
No, and I was in the meeting, so I'm
Yeah,
aware
okay.
of that. But you are going to truly do it, and this has to be part of the negotiation. We're going to use up a significant portion of the site. If that site has any value in the future, it's going to devalue that from a commercial standpoint, and you're going to end up locking in where that pump station needs to be, or considerably increase the cost if we need to move that pump station. Because now we have to have another site we have to leapfrog around. I mean, maybe it's just several $100,000 more for plumbing, but
Yeah.
it's still, if you have a big wet well there, you got to pump out of it. That's another pump station. You're not going to gravity out of a wet well into our wet well, most likely. So you're basically adding another pump facility to us. If you don't put a big gravity system underneath, you can probably gravity into our wet well system. But then your capability of taking trucks, as from a frequency standpoint, slows way down. So logistically, you may not be able to get 50,000 gallons a day. So then you have to build a more expensive facility. I don't know what EO was building for $600,000. I didn't read. I just saw the numbers. I didn't read the study. So
Yeah, it was just some minor improvements to accommodate the truck traffic
Yeah,
and
there was-
turnaround
there was
areas
not
and things
much
like
else.
that. It
Yeah.
wasn't much.
and that's it. So I would imagine we're going to be hit with some type of improvements to accommodate truck traffic in San Marcos Boulevard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I was looking, ticking off these as we could. I was looking at, truck traffic going up and around and then coming out at the light, going over the top of Singer Kierfot.
Well, so this is a channel over here. It's a natural drainage channel.
Yeah.
Okay, and this whole thing used to be a Superfund
Yeah,
site.
it's flow that comes out,
Go ahead.
comes out, it kind of goes
Kinda
like this.
that-
So this
that-
is
so you-
all a channel.
So you'd have to culvert this
Yeah.
and access. We don't actually have access out.
Wait a second. Walk me through this culvert thing, because as I'm looking
It's just
there.
overland flow right now.
It's
Oh, so
overland
yeah,
flow.
overland
Yeah.
It's
flow.
overland flow goes this
Oh.
way.
This is kind of a pad, and this is kind of a trapezoidal channel.
Ah,
Just
uh-huh.
natural.
All of this down.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whenever we looked at this, we already know from that this has to be channelized to utilize the whole site.
And we don't have any legal rights to exit the property going to the west to get to that
we're
traffic
landlocked.
signal.
So,
Yeah, no, you'd have to
Yeah.
negotiate that
Yeah.
too and all that jazz.
yeah.
But
So, and
Yeah.
what
This
you're
is a
looking
school,
at
isn't
is this is
That's
a
high-tech
school. This is
high.
high tech
right, yeah,
over here, and they already have their own issues. Matter of fact, this is Hilltop, which I know you guys know those people. Hilltop.
yeah, right,
They control this property,
right.
and they already have a lot of issues with high tech.
Yeah, they don't show up, but there's been a lot of improvements to this parking lot, a lot of islands.
Yep.
And they've really broken this up so you can't get that through traffic
Yeah.
anymore.
Because people were to go to high tech. People were using this property and just zooming and cutting across. So they put up fences. They've done different things.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day now, really, we have an in, we have an out, legally.
Yeah,
I'm not saying things can't be negotiated, but utilizing this at the light here, I mean, that would take high tech hides, and the high tech, they would have to be okay with that. And I find that that's going to be a real uphill battle. Not impossible, but I mean,
more to do.
yeah, I mean, to get their approval to put this is going to be hard enough. Then when you want to use their property to route septic haulers in and out of, is probably not going to be the best use of their site in their opinion.
Mhm.
So,
There's a lot of pedestrian traffic on, a lot of kids use San Marcos Boulevard for walking, so there's
Yeah.
issues there. The city's gonna have issues.
now, this site is horrible. Actually, it's except logistically from our plumbing, it's great. Everything else about this site,
From a land use perspective, it's terrible.
yeah, it's terrible from a land use perspective. We're too close to schools. We're on a main road.
It's a lot of bad things. As you go down further on the system, I looked at it, and we really don't have a lot of opportunities. I mean, you really need to go. There's a nice place kind of over by where General Manager Prune lives.
Hey, hey. Yeah. Director Sinella's over that way too. So
Yeah, oh,
yeah.
that we forget that. Well, we'll see what happens.
No, actually, all joking aside, we don't have the rights to it, but through this nursery, it'd have to be built. And have to be improved. This is off of nowhere, and it's off of a main
There's a
road.
light right there. isn't there?
Yeah. Well,
no,
that's I don't know if that's a
it's
light or not.
no,
That's
the one
yeah.
to the
Yeah, to
east.
the east.
Yeah. Well, something would have to get improved
Viewpoint,
to go through there. Now I don't know what's going on with that nursery or so, but really when I start looking at it logistically, from being away from people, because even though you're pretty close to home, that's down in a hole.
Yeah.
And be getting off the main road and if you can make room in and out, that would be. And you're further away from the schools. You're not going to get as much challenge from the schools or the city. Those are kind of the hurdles, because those hurdles will prevent. I mean, we can get everything else taken care of, but if the city and the schools comment no and they fight us on it, we're not going to get that approved environmentally, no matter how much we want to do it.
Well, what could we build up there on that property without having to get their approvals?
Anything that has to do with water.
So we could put a recycling facility up there.
Recycling facilities
It's
is
probably questionable,
it's
because it's a
questionable.
mixture of wastewater and water, so we'd have to.
now
look at
if
that.
we
Talk to our
put a
attorneys.
recycling facility, we already have the sewer. We could probably, because we already have a sewer facility there, get away with it. But we'd still have to kind of run that up and down the ladder to our legal. So
Yeah.
Still
Well,
some kind of
In my mind,
no matter what, yeah.
the biggest hurdle is expanding our area.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. That's even
Because all this other stuff, maybe not. But if we can't expand the area to get to 50,000 gallons,
Then we're probably done.
we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jim, but even if you expanded it, if the city says no, you're done. And if the city said yes, and either one of the two schools said no and challenge it, you may not be done right away, but you're probably done for 4 or 5 years.
Well, yeah, but I in my mind, the first thing you have to understand is, can we expand our area?
Yeah.
And if we can't, then we need not worry about anything else. If we can, then we worry about
Yeah.
what kind of political connections, what kind of things can we do, what can we show.
Well, actually, I think you're right. If you can, and that's a yes, then the devil's in the details. Is how is it going to be handled? If they say you expanded, but it's all on you, so all the consequences on you, then all of a sudden it's basically a no, because how are we going to handle that extra sewer? How are we going to handle that? How are they going to handle the? Are they going to consider it 1 million gallons of capacity?
Yeah, well,
loss?
yeah.
Those sort of things.
Yeah, those are the next hurdles you have to
Yeah.
overcome. So, personally, I think I don't think this is just information for the committee.
Yeah.
Until we hear some of these other things, we don't need to go any further than this.
Yeah. So next step is next Thursday, or this Thursday with the
Yeah,
taco
see what
night.
that is, and then next month we'll come together and we'll have information.
Yep.
So we can.
But from an engineering standpoint, if it's something that we are going to move forward for, and if the 50,000 gallons, obviously there'd have to be some studies done. But I would consider looking not at lift station 1 and at some other site, which means purchasing of land, and building of facilities to do it.
How about the 13 acres up in Twin Oaks?
You know what? If it was right there, yes.
Yeah,
It's just in our. If I can move it.
Is it too high or too low?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that gives us the report we needed.
Well, that was a busy meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, for God's sake?
We're good.
I think we're good. Let's call it adjourned.
Thank you.